Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC and this is Blue Line TV, and today I'm bringing you guys another podcast live stream, and I'm joined by two special guests today. The first one, you know this guy from 100% Chelsea, Lawrence. Lawrence, if you want to introduce yourself.
Well, yeah, hello there. First of all, thank you for having me on. If you don't know who I am, I'm Lawrence. I'm on 100% Chelsea. Yeah, we all do the same thing, speak about Chelsea because that's the club we love, really. So, yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And, yeah.
Quick and precise, yeah. And yeah, you guys, for this stream, it's going to be a bit different. Now, there are a few discussion points we're going to be talking about, but then for the second half, you guys are going to get a chance to, obviously ask any of the people on the panel. Why am I saying panel as if it's like a live show or something? Yeah, it sounds professional though, but you guys have a chance to ask any of us anything you want. But because there's going to be so many people, you guys, you're going to have to use a super chat if you want your question answered, and if you want anyone to obviously talk about any points that you want to raise. But anyway, and there's one more thing I forgot. Younes is going to be coming on later. He's running late, so yeah, just going to wait for him to get here, so he's going to be on. But anyway, Lawrence, I think probably the first thing we can start with, probably the biggest thing, is obviously Barcelona 3-0 in the second leg. I don't think anyone was expecting that type of result, especially the anticipation. We're all doing our reviews. Obviously, you went to the game as well.
Yeah,
this was an event that we were all looking forward to for so long, especially after we were so amazing in the first leg. What are some of your thoughts in terms of how the game went?
Now, obviously, if people have seen my reviews and my fan cams after the game, I was very distraught and angry as well, to an extent, maybe kind of not really realizing that we weren't all too bad, but when you just sat there and you just see mistake after mistake, and every time we just give them a goal, it just feels so much worse. Even though you hit the post and then you hit it again, and then maybe you should have had a penalty. Still a debatable one. I'm still not sure whether I'd give it or not. Like I said, we weren't all too bad, but we just made so many mistakes, and we still can't finish. Like, it's been the same issue all season long. We just can't finish anything. Like, we didn't have the most amazing of chances, of course, but in the game against Barcelona, you need to finish half chances as well if you want, to stand a realistic chance of winning, especially if you're going to just gift them goals as well.
Yeah, I know. And I think, because I watched the game again afterwards, I think the realization that I came down to is the fact that, we're definitely a level below the caliber of these types of teams, because I kind of feel that we kind of saw the extent of just how good we could be, and it wasn't enough. I kind of feel, obviously, it's the club's fault in a way, obviously, with poor squad management in terms of the wrong players leaving, forcing out some other players as well. It's one of these games in an alternate universe. If Costa's playing up front, he's playing for us against Barca, that makes a massive difference. I mean, there's so many examples, and I know some people think I was very critical of Giroud, but I felt that, honestly, I think it's justifiable that we can be critical of him, because we've seen great forwards play for us. We've seen what Drogba's been able to do in games like this. We've seen what Costa's been able to do and what he brings. And, sometimes when you just see a player that's just not anywhere near that same standards, it does make things harder. And I kind of feel that, that result against Barca, I think it kind of showed us that we can compete in terms of some of the football we were playing, but we still are far away from obviously matching the same stature of clubs like that.
It's a bit of a merry-go-round, because over the years, if you will, since 2008, really.
Yeah.
Because until 2008, from around 2004, it was a static upwards movement of where we went as a club, and from there it's been a lot of up and down. We have very good seasons, then we have poor seasons. We have very good seasons, very poor seasons. Very good squads, very poor squads. I say very poor, but poorer than in other seasons.
Yeah,
and it's just, we just can't get any consistency in there, because we are still regarded as one of the biggest clubs in the world, as definitely one of the biggest clubs in England. But you can't keep doing what we're doing at the moment. You can't keep, we won the league under Mourinho. Then we were 16th, 1 point off the relegation at some point. Clawed it back to 10th. Whether you finish 10th or 15th doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But then we won the league again last season, and then this season we're just about fighting for top four. Whether we'll get there or not, we'll see. And knocked out of the Champions League in the round of 16 again. Yes, we got a tough draw, but we didn't have to have such a tough draw. If any one of our players could actually finish in the home tie against Atletico Madrid, we would have faced Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't have to be here if we could actually finish some chances.
Yeah.
When was the last time we got past the round of 16? Was that when we lost to Paris in the quarterfinals? 2000?
I think the last time was when we got to the semis under, you know, when we lost to Atletico.
Exactly. That was 2014, and we beat PSG. That was the one. And then the season after, we lost to PSG.
Yeah.
In the round of 16 under Mourinho. Season after, we lost to PSG again in the round of 16 under Gus Hiddink.
No Champions League last year.
And now out in the round of 16, of course, yes, we lost to PSG twice and now to Barcelona. So it's not exactly easy teams. So, you know, some people get lucky. Some people play Porto. Some people play God knows who. But, you know, that's what you get yourself into if you finish second. Yes, you can get lucky, like some, you know, clubs that did get second, you know, did get. But you just put yourself in a situation. And like you said, you know, with the squad, I think it's difficult to criticize Giroud by himself, why he wasn't great. Obviously, for me, it's always, I haven't yet watched it back. You know, I was traveling and also I'm kind of dreading watching it again. Giroud, from, you know, of course, you know, when you sit in that away end, you feel like you're about a kilometer away from the actual pitch. But it just looked like he tried to actually, you know, play some good passes. But in that game, it came into play that he hasn't been here for a long time. Isn't the connection and just the understanding with the players around him wasn't just there. There were a few kind of layoff passes that he just played to an opposition, and obviously from up there, I didn't see whether he looked there, passed it there, or whether he just, you know, kind of passed it there without looking, expecting his teammate to be there. So I understand why you criticize him.
I kind of feel too. Just to interject quickly, again, this is the thing, and this is what I mean about obviously there being a level between both clubs, because, you know, a lot of people were pleased with Giroud's effort because yes, his application was there. But this is what I mean between, you know, between being a good club and a great club. You know, great club have obviously great players, and you know, you expect the application with the quality as well. To me, sometimes it doesn't matter how much you try if there's no end products, if there's no quality. And there was this one moment particularly I think in the was it the first half or second half, when, you know, Willian, who was fantastic in that game, goes on an amazing run through the middle of the pitch. And then Giroud picks the wrong run. Now, this really does baffle me because I'm thinking, honestly, this is a basic run you should be making for Willian to play you in. And if you can't get that simple thing right, it really limits any of our chances in the game, because, you know, it's imperative that your strikers in this game against Barcelona, you need to have that focal point, not even a focal point, you need to have that goal threat from your striker in a game like this. He didn't provide anything like that. Yeah, he tried, he ran, but we got to look past, I feel, just the running and the effort. The quality a lot of times is the most important thing, especially for a club of our standards.
Yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. It's a bit harsh because, you know, a player can only play to his ability. If you put me in there, I'm going to try. It's just not going to be good enough. And with Giroud, I feel like, you know, he isn't that good. He isn't Diego Costa. He isn't Didier Drogba.
Exactly.
He was, you know, bought and, you know, played for that physicality. You know, making a wrong run, he should still be capable of making the right run. You know, you get things wrong. The other side of it is, as much as that might be a dig at Arsenal, we might not be in a position to have a dig at anyone. He's not been in a situation of winning big games, has he? Especially international ones. Like, you know, what has Arsenal done in Europe since you know, he's joined them? Nothing. You know, they always got hammered in these types of games.
Exactly.
He was probably lucky they didn't. He was probably happy they didn't concede 10.
Exactly. I know, and I think, you know, the reason why we're even bringing up points about you know, Giroud, for example. Well, for me, the reason why I'm even bringing this up, because I think it poses an interesting question, and it's obviously, you know, the ambition of the club. I think, you know, for example, how would we even in this situation where a guy like Giroud is even signing for us and playing in such a massive game like this? Now, me personally, of course, you know, everyone's opinions will vary. I kind of feel that Morata should have played in this game. This wasn't a game where physicality was needed at all. You know, this is Barcelona. This isn't Crystal Palace. This isn't Whole City. This isn't, you know what I mean? You need a different set of skills, and you need variation in terms of how to play against them. I thought that Giroud was never ever going to offer anything that would have benefited the team. And continue.
I think the reason, well, ahead of the game, to be honest, I wasn't sure which one of the two start because, like you said, Giroud is definitely ability-wise limited. But then on the other hand, Morata, while he does have, more ability, he's not using it.
You're right.
It's about physicality or not.
Yeah, exactly like you just said, he has more ability. So I personally feel even, we know that he's a better player. I think it's less of a risk using him in a game like that compared to using Giroud when you know that he's not that great. I personally feel he's on the decline as well. I mean, he hasn't been a first choice starter for the past 2 years at Arsenal.
Morata has never though.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But then it's different because, he's like, 7 years younger than Giroud.
Yeah, of course. I just think the thinking for Conte was because none of the strikers is going to do much anyway because the one is not that good, the other one's not performing. But Giroud is maybe more likely to put Hazard and Willian into play, who actually are good and could actually do something. Maybe that was the thinking. He didn't, but maybe that was the thinking.
Yeah, but again, this is what baffles me with Conte's selection as well, because I looked at the games against Palace, I looked at the games against Hull, and Giroud wasn't doing a great job at all in terms of linking people. And yeah, a lot of fans were getting excited because it was the fact that it was this, his valiant efforts and his application. Because of course, when you compare it to how Morata's been in his poor form, it looks like a step up. But this is what I mean. We too often we're clouded by the effort over the quality. And if you really were to look at his games objectively, you'd notice that Giroud hasn't been playing people in properly. He's always under-hitting passes when people are, making last-man runs. And he's just not that great at that. So this is why it kind of baffled me why Conte even decided to use Giroud. But I kind of feel, and this is just me theorizing and just, thinking of hypotheticals. Obviously, here's what I'm thinking. We know that Morata, when you compare his first half of the season to the second half, was two completely different things. I mean, the first half, he was competing in the air. He was an aerial threat. I mean, the games like against Atletico Madrid, when he's bodying, goading and knocking into players, and he's up for that physical fight. And then, obviously, he has some poor form, and then his injury comes, and we find out it's a back injury. And now this is where I kind of feel maybe this is why Conte isn't using him now. Because I've been told by some people that obviously people in the club and that the report was that, yeah, Morata did have a back injury, but it was felt that he could play through that, and it wasn't too extreme there where he couldn't play. But then Morata was of the belief that he didn't want to risk anything. And I'm thinking through Morata's perspective, it's a World Cup. Imagine he plays through the pain, gets another injury, he's out of the World Cup. A lot of times players do make the selfish. Is it selfish? I mean, it's up to the person to decide for themselves. Is it selfish for the manager to want to rush back an injured player? Is it selfish for the injured player to not want to fight through the pain? It's up to you to decide. But this is what I mean. I kind of feel with Conte's characteristics as well. He's thinking, well, I can't rely on this guy when I need him. I want fighters in the team, and I kind of feel this is why Conte hasn't been really using Morata at all. He hasn't tried to get his form back. He hasn't tried to get him back in the team. And I kind of feel that things aren't looking too great between them.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, on Giroud quickly, he did, a few times I thought, that goal for Hazard, he did well there, shielded a man off, just basically laid it into Hazard, which he didn't have to do much for because he's big and strong. He just basically had to stand there.
What game was that? That was the whole game, right?
That was the whole game, yeah. Of course it was Hull. It wasn't Barcelona. Of course. But Morata wouldn't have done that. He couldn't have done that.
I don't know. This is a thing. Let's say this is what I mean. Let's say Conte's thinking I need to get this guy back into form. He'd be playing him against weak opposition like that to get some type of confidence. Who knows? I mean, it's easy to be like, he wouldn't have done anything, but I kind of feel he should get a bit of the benefit of the doubt, especially when you see what he could do in the first half, because it's a complete contrast from how he was starting the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think because you mentioned the injury, of course, and a back injury, you know how he keeps falling over and backs out of tackles?
Exactly.
Maybe that back injury is a big reason for that. Maybe because he's worried about the back injury getting worse. Maybe every time he gets hit there, it's just agonizing pain. You don't know. But if he is in agonizing pain, if he gets hit in the back, there's no point playing him because, if he, because of that, backs out of it, you might as well not play him. And that I would find understandable, but then I wouldn't even use him in the squad, I mean, apparently he's seen a lot of specialists all over Europe.
Yeah.
So, the club or, whoever is clearly trying to make him better. But if that's an issue, I can understand why he's not being used. It's just, he did start against United. Yes, he hit the bar. You know, some people say he should have done better. I say it's mainly unlucky because the cross was hit with a lot of pace. You know, he scored that goal that was onside and, you know, was given offside. We would have gotten a 2-2 draw that he would have gotten us. He would have scored a goal. Has scored a goal. Was, like I said, ruled offside. You know, the whole tall guy hasn't scored since Boxing Day. That whole talk wouldn't be around anymore. Sometimes you get unlucky with decisions. I do understand that. But to be honest, I was even surprised. Like, I didn't want Conte to, but I was very surprised he didn't go with the false 9 again.
I know what you mean.
I thought he was going to do that. And I also thought he was going to start Bakayoko. I'm happy he didn't, but I thought he would do.
I mean, that's an interesting... I mean, again, it poses the questions. Obviously, you know that you're not going to get anything from Giroud, but at the same time, you don't want to sacrifice Hazard. So I can understand why it's right to be used.
Did Hazard do anything? No, he didn't.
You know, again, when I watched it, I thought in the first half he was looking dangerous with Willian.
Yeah, but he's only looking, and Willian actually is.
Yeah, you're right.
At the moment, it's hugely frustrating.
You're right. But again, this is what I mean. I sound like I'm just copying out and stuff. But, you know, we are playing Barcelona. We can't forget that. We have to understand.
But why can Willian do it?
Yeah, you're right. But here's the thing. If you're Barcelona, you know Hazard's the main guy. You know what I mean? For example, they wouldn't focus their targets. I mean, in terms of how they press off the ball and how they keep their shape and how they obviously look to close down certain players. You know, Barca are more likely to have a plan for Hazard than Willian. You know, Willian was kind of like...
In the second leg, after William was by far our best player in the first leg as well, I think they wouldn't have put too much more focus on Hazard because, you know, William was the main guy causing them trouble in the first leg.
But William was able to cause trouble because Barca were focused on Hazard. He was free. Of course, but
if he was as good, he should be able to deal with that. You know, the best players out there are able to deal with that, score, assist, be involved in a game, be dangerous, while still being, you know, doubled up on, tripled up on even, you know, just being, of course, you know, there's a tactical aspect to it. Valverde could have done something, you know, fancy to, you know, mark him out of the game or whatever.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like to me, he was man-marked, not from what I saw. He wasn't, yes, maybe he was doubled up on, but, you know, he was doubled up on by what? Sergio Roberto. Like, he's not an awful player. Of course he isn't.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be the starter for Barcelona, but he's not exactly, I don't know, bloody Philipp Lahm.
Yeah, I thought Barca... Again, obviously, this transitions nicely and smoothly into the next one, talking about Hazard and Courtois. That seems to be a big discussion point between, you know, fans and social media and just fans in general. But with, you know, Hazard, I mean, let's say, you know, to be honest, Barca, they're a different team under Valverde. You know, I expect regularly they go back into 2 banks of 4 and look to counter attack when they have to. And it was like, really, what really ruined everything for us was the fact that we conceded in like the first 90 seconds. That was what really messed up the game for us, because then all our plans were over. But I don't know, with Hazard, it's harsh. You know, this argument, what do you think actually? A lot of people say that he's not a big game player. What's your thoughts on Hazard? And do you think he's a big game player? Do you think that sometimes we haven't allowed him to be a big game player because of the system? Or do you just think that he just has these chances to be good and he just never performs?
Now, there is a certain extent of all of those things, I feel like. Of course, a manager plays a big part in how a player plays.
Yeah.
You know, you had under Mourinho, everyone was saying that Mourinho has to track back too much. Then Conte comes in, plays the 3-4-3. He's basically further forward. He doesn't have to track back so much. He's more attacking. Didn't score that many more goals. Scored a little bit more, but didn't score that many more. And, you know, in the big games under Conte, and how many games has he turned up? Like, I'm not trying to, you know, he's not a big game player, all of that. I'm just, you know, a serious question. How many big games has he turned up? You know, he scored 1 against United when we won 4-0. But that was the third, I think, that he scored. Maybe it was the second. I can't remember. But it wasn't, you know, he did score against City away. That was the 3-1 in the injury time.
I'm not saying good against Arsenal. We can't forget there are a lot of performances against Arsenal. Even the times that we haven't won, he's still been a standout. Remember that 2-2 draw with them? He was a standout in that game.
I'm not this. I don't think he's not a big game player. I'm not saying he doesn't turn up. My problem with him is that, first of all, he's way too unselfish. You know, if your team isn't doing well, you need to. He knows he's the best player. Everyone knows he's our best player ability-wise. Everyone knows that. So, and if your team isn't doing well, if you're 2-0 down at Barcelona, if you crucially need a win at Arsenal, yes, we only conceded obviously the 2-2 late on, but you know, in these kind of games, I just require him, and I need him, and I want him to just take the game by the scruff of the neck and actually boss it. because I think he more than has the ability to do that. Like a lot of other players out there do, and like Willian has done in the last few games. Like he's at least tried to. And I don't see that from Hazard enough. You know, of course, other people were going to focus him, but everyone focuses on Messi, everyone focuses on Ronaldo, everyone focuses on De Bruyne, and they still perform. So, you know, so I see someone tweet, you know, about Younes, how he's saying Hazard has peaked. Well, you know, I just want to quickly answer that because it kind of made me a bit angry because I'm saying he's 27. How many players that start being very good around 20 because he started to be very, very good for Lille when he was 20? Actually still improve further from when they're 27. Very, very few. So I think they're saying he's peaked.
Yeah.
It's not too wrong. Whether that's their peak is too low is a different question. But
I mean, that's an interesting point. I've kind of felt, obviously, you know, that, you know, the talking point about, yeah, players peaking and things like that. I kind of feel like the reason why, because again, what you're saying is right, but I'm thinking the reason why that's become the norm is the fact that, you know, a lot of teams or managers don't really do things to help improve their players. I mean, I use this Mohamed Salah point a lot. You know, I'll just try and make it quick. Of course, when he was at Chelsea, we never saw the real Salah because, you know, Mourinho is using this guy as a defensive winger to come back, and then when he's on the ball, he's got to run from in his own half to the opposition half. I mean, you don't use him like that. He's an inside forward where you play him further up in the half space so he cuts inside. Now, Salah is scoring. He's scored more than 30 goals so far this season. I'm not going to lie. I knew he was going to do well. I was not expecting him to just, you know, I mean, get 30 goals like that. I mean, that's incredible. But, I mean, he said it himself in an interview, I think, last week on BT Sport.
He knew he was going to score, didn't he?
Yeah, that. But also, the fact of why he's scoring is because he said that, well, Klopp plays me closer to the goal more than any other manager has in my career. And you see how by playing him closer to the goal, it helps unlock even more efficiency from him, because, you know, when you break the 30 goal mark, I mean, that is still a very special thing to do in football. You know, most times at the norm for him, because again, he'd always got to, like, let's say 18 goals in a season in all competitions. I mean, he's already double that, and that's just because the managers used him in a way where he can be even more productive.
Yeah, but being like, I agree with that, and you know, I also think you have to say that Salah was just in development, nowhere near where he is now. When he was at Chelsea, of course, you know, we can develop him. Of course, I do understand that.
Yeah.
But my point being is, you know, by the way Klopp plays football, it's very good to watch. Even if you sign a £75 million striker, you still can't defend. And everyone knows that, you know, you have to be a good team overall to actually achieve something. But also everyone knows that not conceding too many is what wins you titles in the end. And as much as it's great to watch, we're just 5 points off, and we're saying we're having an awful season. And Liverpool are speaking about the best season since Suarez. You know, and we're still only 5 points off.
Yeah.
You know, 5 points is only, you know, we still have to go past them or Spurs to reach top 4, but it's still, you know, he's scoring goals, and Mane scoring goals, and Firmino, and Coutinho was when he was there, and, you know, they're playing so well and it's all great football and stuff, but then they lose to Swansea. And, you know, then they have these games where they're like, yes, he plays close to goal. And, you know, any player with a certain amount of quality, if you play close to goal, will do well.
Yeah, Ali was an example. I mean, he got a career because he was playing really close with Kane. That was why he was a goal scorer. But
the question is, would Hazard still score that much more, because he'd pass off to Giroud anyway?
I think that's pretty cynical. I think about it.
I know. I was being serious.
I know what you mean, but you know that point you made earlier about when he was at Lille, when he was like 19, 20. This guy he got 20 goals in a season. So I think when you can do something like that young, it tells you that you do have the capabilities to score. And here's the thing with Hazard: he might not take tons and tons of shots, but when he does take them, you know, most times they are going into the back of the net.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of moments where he should have a shot, where there's a good opportunity to score, and he doesn't.
Exactly. And I don't know, I've always felt that maybe it's just when it comes down to coaching as well. I mean, yeah, with Ronaldo, I know Ronaldo, you know, credits himself because he trained himself a lot. But at the same time, it's still a lot of advice from the manager, from Ferguson, in terms of work on this, improve on that. Don't do this here. I want to see this. I want to see that. I don't know if Hazard's really getting anything like that, really,
but
development.
If you see it, if I see it, if 42,000 people in the ground see it, that you should have had a shot there, mate.
Yeah, of course.
A player like Eden Hazard, a great footballer with in my opinion, a good player's mind should see, it can happen that you think, he's in a better position, but it can't happen so consistently.
No, you are right. This is the point I'm making. I mean, we signed him when he was 21 years old, and he's what, 26, 27?
27 now, I think. Yeah.
Now, me personally, I don't think I've seen any real super improvement in Eden Hazard, really. I kind of feel, I mean, he's
got stronger, like better to keep.
Yeah, I mean, physically, I mean, that's natural as you get, obviously, as you get older, you get bigger. But this is what I mean in terms of, from having a guy of this potential from so young. If this, let's say, if Guardiola had him at 21, let's say if a Klopp had him at 21, let's say if other managers had this guy at 21 years old, Hazard would be completely different now than he is. And I kind of feel that there's never been an onus on how to, it's that self-improvement with Hazard. Because I've always felt that, with the managers we've signed, it's always been team first over individuals. And I think because there hasn't really been a balance. And here's the thing, this thing about balance, I don't really think football needs to always have balance. The more balanced you are, doesn't really seem to help you at all, really. You know what I mean? When most teams have won, even when we won with our balance last year, we attacked the first half and then we just defended the second half of the season. I mean, I don't know if I'd really call that balance, playing during games, but that's what I mean. This emphasis on team first of individuals. I think this is the reason why we haven't really seen the full potential of what Hazard could have been.
No, I do completely understand what you're saying. The only thing that, when a player is playing close to goal and being managed by a more attacking manager, it doesn't mean that he's actually better. It's maybe it's just, that's what he can do in that position if he plays in that system.
You're right. Yeah.
Of course. And I mean, balance, there's different types of balance. City have conceded the least amount of goals in the league.
Yeah.
Or is it United? I think it's City. So
yeah,
they're still kind of balanced. It's way more attacking balance, but it's still kind of balanced.
Now, we say balance because obviously they obviously concede less. But the reason, if you look at them, there's not any balance because they attack and they've got like 65% of possession every game. So by playing like that, you're going to limit teams from doing that. And for example, teams that like Mourinho focus on the defensive, like they went against Liverpool, I think last week. That was a very defensive counter-attacking game. They didn't play with any balance because they never kept any of the ball in that game.
Yeah,
I think in football now, there's no team that has a balance where, but you get success anymore because there's so many teams that don't focus on balance. You either a really attacking team or a really defensive team. There's no real in-betweens. You know what I mean?
Very true. There is a big issue that, if you look at someone like United, they should be doing better than they are.
Exactly.
Because their squad quality-wise is up there with Man City. Ours isn't. I'd say their keeper is better. I'm not going to, combine 11 all this, but yes, defense, defensively, our defenders might be better defenders. They might very well be, but that's not what they need that much.
Exactly.
If you go in the wings, Walker's certainly better than Moses and Costa. Mendy, if he wasn't injured, I'd say he's probably better than Alonso. But Alonso is better than Delph and stuff. Midfield, you have Kante, where everything else is just City. You have attack, you have, Aguero, Jesus. They're both better than everything we've got. So I'm not saying that even if we had those players, we would be playing like them under Conte. Of course we wouldn't. Everyone that watches football and, understands that.
Yeah.
The results would be better. Probably would, because we would actually have people that can finish chances. I'm not saying, everyone is awful now and stuff. I know I sound very depressing. It's just, I've been watching this all season and it's just like the amount of chances we need to actually score a goal, let alone more than 2 goals, is utterly ridiculous.
Exactly.
Like, how many games have we had with 10 shots on target and we won 1-0 or drew 1-0? It's like, how can that happen? Like, it's ridiculous. And no matter what tactics you use, if you have an opportunity to shoot on target, tactics are out the window. It's just about finishing. No matter what happens before and how you defend, if you have a chance to score and you have 10 chances to actually score, it's not about tactics and who sits on the sidelines anymore. It's about the players that try and score.
Yeah, you're right. And again, you're right. And it brings up these interesting points all the time because I kind of feel like, in a way, we've put ourselves in a position we didn't have to be in. For example, talking about, obviously, not being clinical enough up front, but only 10 months ago, we had one of the most clinical strikers in the world.
Yeah.
And he was there and he was got rid of because the manager didn't want him anymore. You know what I mean? I felt Matic. I mean, you know, I'm sorry. You know, Matic. We signed back. We signed Drinkwater, guys that didn't need to come. We should have just kept him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We could have just added one more target.
I mean, I don't know about the Matic situation because, you know, apparently his agent has literally just called Mourinho. Matic trying to leave Chelsea. Why that was, I have no further information on. Whether he had issues with Conte, whether he just wanted a new challenge, whether
that was the thing. I think I've said it before too. Obviously, he was promised a new contract in the summer. The club didn't want to give it to him, and then at the time, because Conte was confident Bakayoko was going to come, and he thought that Thalisa was going to come too, that he was okay with Matic leaving in the end. You know what I mean? So that was why.
So that's then kind of the manager in a sense, because, you know, he was like, okay, you're all right.
Yeah.
But if the club actually brings those players in that Conte is hoping for, you'd actually be all right. Because, you know, even though Thalisa and Bakayoko wouldn't still be as good as Matic, you know, later on he then said, you know, he wanted to bring up Bakayoko under Matic, which would have been very good. You know, everyone would have been very happy with that. Exactly. About Costa, I didn't agree with the text message. You know, we haven't really seen it, although there have apparently been leaks. There's no way of knowing whether that was the real text message. But it's fact that Costa tried to leave for 3 out of the previous 4 transfer windows before last summer.
But here's the thing. I know people say that a lot, and I know Younes, you're here. I'm going to introduce you just in a second, man. Don't worry.
No worries, mate.
Obviously, you know, he wanted to leave 3 out of the 4 windows, but then this is what I mean about looking at the context. Now, first of all, it's not the first player that has tried to look for moves away. Let's not forget Lampard, when Barca were looking at him and Inter were looking at him back then. Let's not forget Drogba as well. You know, I know Man City approached Terry. I mean, Terry was never going to go. He was just using that for the contracts. But there's been times that players have been swayed. It's just part and parcel. And here's the context. Obviously, after that disastrous season, 15-16, you've got a manager, Mourinho, that completely messed up the squad. I mean, you can see, because you can tell most of them don't like him. Anytime you play United, most of them don't even look at him when they're shaking his hand. And it's all about just being cordial and then keeping it moving. Yeah. So it's understandable that a player would be thinking, you know, I left Atletico Madrid, a place I liked. Yeah, I came to Chelsea. It looks like maybe their ambitions, you know, with this manager, with how people are behind the scenes, isn't the best place for me as a player. So I don't think it's too harsh to be like, oh, you know, Costa deserved it because he was seeing what his options were. I think that's normal. But the thing I can't agree with is the fact that in January, when Costa, you know, he made up with it for everything, and he basically wanted to commit, wanted to stay. You know what I mean? Conte was more than happy.
Down to ignorant and, you know, just principle for certain people. You know, Conte is Italian, he's a very proud man. You know, I know you've spoken about this before, and you know, when you sign a certain manager, you get certain things. You know, that's what you get. And Conte is a proud man, and Conte doesn't take any shit, basically.
Yeah. But again,
so if you know he's not happy with Costa, and if he's your manager, the manager at the end of the day, if he's not going to use him, there's no point whether you disagree with that or not. But you know, he has his principles. Like you have your principles, like I have my principles, and everyone will do that. I mean, just get these kind of issues. The problem then is though, neither of Lukaku or Morata are better or as good as Costa. But you know, you don't get Tolisso, you don't get Vidal, you don't get Alexandro, you don't get God knows who else would try Llorente, even though he wouldn't have been that good either. Yeah. But you know, you don't get these players when the manager is hoping for those, and he's like, all right, I can get rid of Costa if I can get Lukaku. I can get rid of Matic if I can get Tolisso and Bakayoko. I can get, you know, not sign, you know, another left wing back because I'll get Alexandro anyway. I don't know.
No, you're right.
The right wing back spot is the only one where I'm a bit confused. Even Kandreva, like we weren't even trying to, even though the right wing back spot is a difficult one to get someone very good because there's not that many out there. But still, that was a bit of a weird one. But the rest, I'm like,
yeah, this is what I mean. I'll just make this brief point before I introduce Younes. Obviously, you know, with Conte, this is why, again, he needs to get a lot more blame than people want to accept, because everyone's forgetting during, and this links into with the Tolisso transfer, because the club was speaking to Lyon. You were one of the first clubs to go in for Tolisso. Obviously, Lyon wanted Bertrand Traoré, so it looked like it was going to be a set and done thing. Obviously, they want this player, we want him. We can easily come to an arrangement, but during that time, what had to happen then? That's when Conte starts deciding that he might consider leaving the club. And then the club have to divert their attention from negotiations with Tolisso and other players to then focus on dealing with Conte. You know, they offered this guy a new contract with an extension. Conte's like, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. And then
just quickly,
let me finish.
No, quickly, I need to intercept there, because are we a big enough club to have enough people to speak to Conte and other players at the same time? Like, come on.
We
should be. Maybe we're not, but we should be. We should have enough people employed.
It's not like that, obviously. It's your manager. I mean, especially in the transfer window, the transfer period, you've got targets you're working towards and stuff like that. You know, for your manager to just, you know, out of the blue, it wasn't as if it was, you know, it wasn't as if they were expecting him to do something like that. Of course, you have to turn your attention a lot, because I think Conte was on holiday at the same time as well. So it wasn't as if that, oh, this one person's just going to deal with him and sort it. It's the whole group. You know what I mean? In the end, it's agreed that he signed a contract for more money and no extension. But that was like an unnecessary part in the window that didn't have to be there. And this is what ultimately cost the Tolisso deal from happening, because during that time, Bayern obviously found out how much he was available for, because it gets leaked out. And, you know, I mean, if there's one criticism I give the Chelsea board sometimes, it's just negotiations for players can be too long. When people make this point that we don't have the money, we do have the money. The issue is that sometimes we lose out on some of these big players because we take too long getting the deal done. For example,
multiple.
Start too low. Yeah, we always start too low all the time. If you're a club and you know this guy's worth 60 million and we're trying to offer 20 from the start, you're gonna get pissed off. Like, why are you wasting my fucking time? Like, what you guys doing? This is why we didn't get Lukaku.
Can I have a pint for £1, please?
Exactly. This is why Lukaku's like, you know what? I've said I want to play for this club. I've been leaking it out for how many years? Blah blah blah. I want to emulate Drogba. Chelsea, my club I've supported since I was young. Blah blah blah. When a guy like this ultimately decides, you know what? Chelsea are just being way too long. They clearly don't want me as much as I thought they did. I'm gonna go to United, and this is the only sympathy I'll give for Conte in regards to obviously Lukaku and Sandro. They're the only two. Actually, I can't say Sandro now. I can't, because at the same time, Juventus, they don't like him, so it was always going to be a hard one, regardless.
Yeah, no, but you know,
the main
that was. If we were quicker, they wouldn't have sold Bonucci. We would have had.
That's what I mean.
They didn't sell him because they sold Bonucci.
Yeah,
so but don't like him or not. They don't deal with Conte because he's a first team head coach, not a manager.
Exactly.
So they deal with Marina or whoever's in charge.
Exactly. But let me just obviously, sorry, Younes, you've been here for like the past 5 minutes now. You guys, Younes is on the stream. And just before Younes introduces himself, you guys, as I said during the second part of this stream, we will be answering questions. So if you guys want to ask Younes something, if you want to ask Lauren something, you got your chance to do that. But if you want to ask something, you have to send a super chat. And I say, send your super chats in now. So by the time the second part of the stream starts, I've got the questions already loaded. It doesn't have to be nothing big. It can be 50p. It can be £1 to give me whatever. Obviously, I can't focus on the chat. So if you ask me a question, I'm not going to see it because obviously I'm speaking to Younes and Lawrence. So if you want your question asked by any of us, obviously go and do your thing then. You know what I mean? But yeah, Younes, sorry, man. This is just a long... Yeah. Younes, introduce yourself, man.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me on. I know I'm delayed. I came in late. Lawrence, mate, how you doing? Yeah, Younes is my name. For those who don't know me, YounesHH. Those who do know me know what I'm about. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of this stream. Let's get cracking.
Yeah, but yeah, I think maybe moving the discussion on, maybe this would be a bit of a controversial one, but of course, again, we were speaking about Eden Hazard. Actually, before we move on to Courtois, Younes, what's your thoughts on Hazard? Because of course, you aren't particularly impressed with him against Barcelona.
Oh, but what's funny? The backlash was yeah, was funny. You know what it is? It's the frustrating thing is when you have a game that all of us understand the importance of, right, to the core, that Barcelona-Chelsea rivalry, right? And we know we're not as powerful as we once were, etc. But you expect your best to be there on such a huge occasion. You can't get a bigger occasion unless if it was like the Champions League final itself. But you're playing Barcelona, you expect to rely on your best.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm waiting for Hazard to show up the same way Willian showed up. I'm expecting Hazard to cause trouble on the other side, and he didn't get anything. You know, and that's frustrating because I know he has it in him and I know it's there, but when are we going to see it on a consistent basis? You know, because he's meant to be one of the players that we're trying to get to the level amongst the very, very best. And, you know, he's aiming for that as well. At the moment, with the level of consistency he has and his lack of really grasping that brass ring, should I say, you know, that if anyone understands that saying, right? When are we going to see it? He's 27. Time's running out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the frustrating thing. When I saw the performance Willian had from someone I didn't really expect to have that level of performance, and then I look at Hazard and I'm thinking, hang on, have they switched or something? And that's just frustrating because I was really expecting Hazard to show up for that occasion.
Yeah.
The worrying thing is that the best we're going to get? I mean, this inconsistency, is that, or is he going to offer more? Like, where is it going? It's not clear. Yeah, that's my doubt. And obviously, the other thing is because of his age, because of the attraction of Real Madrid, because of the level of performances he's putting in. My problem now is if Real Madrid were to come this summer, because we know they're interested, if they're to come in the summer and go, it's £200 million, we want Hazard and Courtois, are we really going to turn that down? Because if we reject that now, I don't think we're going to be able to accept another offer in the future.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But personally, I wouldn't want to accept any offers for those guys, in my opinion. I mean, even 100 million for me isn't enough for Hazard. But I just want to ask, do you think that Hazard, with your critique of him, do you think that's because it's a consistent thing you've seen, or do you think maybe this could just be a one-off game where he wasn't at his best?
I'm hoping it's a one-off, right?
Can I just interject here quickly?
Yeah.
Go on.
My question here: when was Hazard last? When was the last time Hazard was at his best? You know.
Yeah, that's my problem.
You know, when has Hazard ever? You know, I put this question out on Twitter a few weeks or months ago. Even when has Hazard actually turned the game around for us? Like Messi does week in, week out, like Ronaldo does week in, week out, like Neymar has done before, like Kevin De Bruyne does, like, you know, Salah does, like bloody God knows who. You know, and people came up to me and said, remember that 2-2 draw in the FA Cup when we came back from 2-0 down, Hazard was brought on.
It's United's.
Yeah. And we drew 2-2 when Hazard came on. Can you ever since think of a game where Hazard controlled the game by himself and just turned it around? You know, he scored good goals against Arsenal. Yes, of course he did. But does that mean he was great all game? No, he wasn't. And yes, you don't need to, you know, if he scores a hat-trick in 10 minutes, you can do whatever. You know, I don't care.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm just asking, when was he actually the last time this incredible best that we know he possesses? But when does he show it? Like, he has good moments. He has good games, but not as good as he can be.
I think that's an interesting point. I think obviously sometimes us fans in general, with our expectations, let's say the team is playing poorly, it's natural that fans will look to your best player. But then at the same time, you know, it is football. It's very hard for a player to just turn it around. For example, you know, Messi at Barcelona, but then I don't see Barcelona playing shit, and then, you know, players missing passes and messing up this and missing open goals, and then Messi consistently wins it. I mean, you know, they're a great team. And I think a lot of times when, let's say, not the most perfect team, naturally, you know, your best players can be a bit bottlenecked at times. I mean, you know, look at Madrid this year. The argument could be used for Ronaldo. What's he done this year to get them out this form, out this rut?
But he has, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, but again, yeah, but it wasn't as if they were playing, like, you know, shit against PSG and then he just saved the day all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Because they're a good team. I don't know. I think with Hazard, again, we can't always judge him by the goals, because I think his influence is very great in terms of when he runs at people. You know, a lot of times he plays the pass that makes the assist. You know, he does a lot of those great things. I don't know. I remember a lot of great games he's had. I remember games against City. You know, quite a few against City. Not anything under Conte. I remember games against Liverpool, Arsenal, for example, United. especially Spurs. You know, let's not forget Spurs.
That is very, very best.
Again, we say very, very best, but then maybe I'll sound cynical, but I know Ronaldo scored against Paris Saint-Germain, but no way was he playing at his very, very best. You know,
but what's the point of you play well, don't do anything if you're an attacking player? You're not a centre back. At the end of the day, and if you don't have great players around you that will then score and make use of your great attacking play, then because he does clearly have the capability. You know, we know he can shoot. We know he can, you know, place the ball into the bottom corner, unsavable for the keeper. We all know he can do that. We know he can take on players and do those things. So I'm like, as a player, if I was him, I'm like, I'm doing all of this and I'm playing well most of the time because he's not awful every game. Of course he isn't. You know, he's way too good for that. But if I'm seeing a pass it to Morata or Giroud or whoever, and they bottle it, why don't I try by myself? If that doesn't work, right, things don't work out. The thing why I think myself and Younes and some other people out there as well are frustrated is because we see Hazard playing well. We see William playing so well, and then Hazard hardly doing anything. Of course, Nina, you brought up the point with people, you know, teams focusing on him. But still, though, when no one is playing well, then you can say, right, the team around him doesn't help him either. You know, he needs something. Football is a team sport. But when someone else is doing it, that argument don't stand anymore.
That's with the Barcelona game. That was where my criticism came from. If the whole team were poor, you can't expect one player to just carry the whole team. I mean, sometimes it can happen, but you know, you can't do that to him. But when I see William performing fantastic amongst the team that were pretty much, you know, 75% of the team were below average that game. Whereas we had a few key players that game that were brilliant. William, Kante, Alonso, debate. William was incredible, doing everything. And I'm thinking, if he can do it, why can't Eden Hazard do it on the other side and create double the trouble for Barcelona to deal with? My issue with Hazard now, and this is where it really got me thinking, I don't want to compare him to someone like Messi, because Messi's in a completely different circumstance, especially with Barcelona. No, even in terms of style. The managers he's played for at Barcelona, all attacking, all, you know, it's the Barcelona philosophy. When you compare him with Ronaldo, right? And Ronaldo is someone that we've seen develop since he's come to United. He's played under numerous managers, Mourinho included, and thrived. Every single style, whether it's defensive or offensive, they're playing attacking football, defensive football, whatever the style, whatever the way of play, he's there and he's bossing it.
Yeah.
Hazard is not on that consistent level season by season by season by season. And I don't know whether it's a thing as to whether we've overhyped him or whether he has that ability, but he's just not reaching it.
Oh, I don't know. That's what I mean. I do think you guys are being a bit harsh. As I was trying to say, you know, a lot of times, again, when we're not... Okay, let me just make this point about William. Again, especially, you know, it was amazing in the first leg. You know, second leg, he was very good as well. But if we're being cynical, how many of his good runs or dribbles was ending up in a shot on goal? If we're being cynical, how many of that ended up? You know what I mean? I think maybe one.
But that's where the team around it comes into play.
Yeah, I know you're right.
He had to drag it from bloody halfway line.
Yeah, no, you're right. But then again, that's the same thing. You know, a lot of times we've seen Hazard being that guy in the games where he is providing that same drive that let's say William was doing. But this is what I mean between looking at the effort and then looking at the end product from it. You know what I mean? And I do think it's harsh in regards to, you know, this thing like maybe Hazard is never perform as well enough in the big games. I mean, I remember so many Spurs when we obviously that 2-2 draw, but that stopped them from winning the league. Or United when they won us the league, obviously that big game that helps us, you know, secure it. I mean, it's so many times where he has got the winner. He has been the most decisive player. But this is what I mean. I think a lot of times because we underperform a lot, this is why actually we're going to look towards our best player to provide that moment of magic or inspiration. I think at times it can just be impossible. Again, I know you guys make the point of Ronaldo and Messi. Anyway, they are outliers because these are like not even world-class, like legendary style players. You know what I mean? So they are a bit of an outlier in that regards. But even when they do decisive things, it's not as if, you know, their team have been completely awful and then they've come and just, you know, consistently winning it by themselves. It's not like that. A lot of times Messi scores, a lot of great individual stuff, but probably 75% of that are team moves. You know what I mean? And so I think we've got to get like the context of it. You know, I don't think Hazard for me is a guy that should never ever be sold. I don't even want that to be part of the discussion. It should Hazard go, because I kind of feel that it comes across as maybe to me as a bit reactionary, because it's like, you know, it's football, so we forget about a lot of the good that's done in previous games because we only care about the next game or the present game. You know what I mean?
True.
But I do feel that Hazard has done, you know, 90% of what he's done has been amazing. Yeah, 10% is natural. He won't be at his best all the time, but I don't think, especially this, he hasn't been anywhere near bad enough where we should even consider, oh, is Hazard's as good as we think he is.
It's I don't think for anyone, like, I'm on the fence. I wouldn't even say I'm on the fence. I don't want to sell Eden Hazard.
Yeah.
But even for people that do say, it's not like I want to get rid of Hazard. It's more like, if we get a lot of money for Hazard, should we consider taking that offer? Because we might lose money if he stays, and we, you know, maybe we can get a player that could actually do better for us for similar money. But I mean, which we couldn't. I'm gonna point that out straight away. Which we couldn't.
You're racing, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. In terms of the selling Hazard thing, again, with what Lauren said, he's spot on. We're not saying sell him, because that's just ridiculous. That's the most stupid thing. If there's someone out there that we know with the money that's generated, if it's a very, very, very good offer and the money's generated, and there's someone out there that we know we can bring in with that money generated who can perform a job, then I think we should consider. But to just say sell him and then, yeah, we'll get the money and we have no plan as to do what we're going to do after that. No, I'd rather keep Hazard any day of the week. You know, it's got to be thought about logically. We can't just flog one of our best players on the field.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sorry, I'm just sorry to interject. That's what I mean. Even let's say Hazard was sold. This is what I mean by the mentality. I don't, you know, I think really it should be who can we bring to play with Hazard, not if Hazard was ever replaced, who would be a better replacement. Even if he is a better replacement, he should be playing with Hazard, because it makes the team better to have that quality beside him.
But we don't spend like that at the moment.
That's the problem. I would keep Hazard if we were going to splash money, but what's the club doing? Are they splashing money? You know, we're getting players like Giroud for 18 million, and we're getting Barkley, who's been in A&E since God knows how many years. You know, for that much money. I mean, if we were splashing, I'd be like, yeah, keep Hazard and go and invest, support him, back him. But again, it brings us to the same point we always discuss: the direction of the club.
And also,
we don't know where we're really going.
And adding to that, it's another thing of all these comments that you hear, whether, you know, it just does bug you as a fan. You know, yes, he says to a fan at the bloody NBA game, no, I'm never going to leave Chelsea. Yeah. But when you hear every time, especially when they joined the national team, every time, yeah, Madrid is so nice and I love Zidane. You can love Zidane all you want, and you can like Madrid all you want. If you don't want to leave, you don't need to say it. And if you want to leave, what's like, you know, you have to consider quality, and you have to consider, is he going to perform to his absolute best if he doesn't really want to be here? And yes, you can sway players, but we're never going to offer much more than Madrid, and much more enough to, you know, compensate for, you know, maybe not playing with, I don't know, Modric and Kroos and under Zidane. And that's where it comes in. You know, if Willian always says, no, I'm staying on until they get rid of me, because they've done so much for me. You know, of course, Willian isn't as good as Hazard, but you know, it's still the kind of comments that, as a fan, you still much prefer to hear, make you think in a different kind of light about the players. And it's even worse for Courtois.
Much worse.
Yeah, take it, Younes. Yeah.
Oh, no, we're talking about Courtois. He's taking it to another level. You know, Hazard hasn't actually come out and been, you know, saying things so bluntly and so obvious. You know, he's kind of just made it clear negotiations are going on, and then we'll see what happens. Fair play, right? But Courtois, the only exception I can offer Courtois is the fact that he's got his family who live in Spain, right, who live in Madrid. I will totally understand if the day comes where he goes, look, I'm going back to Atletico, I'm going to Real Madrid, you know, to be with my family. But fair play. You know, because the kids are growing up. They don't have their dad there every single day. Fully understandable. But if this, you know, to keep entertaining the idea, and then he's portrayed as one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and he puts in performances again like he did against Barcelona and various other performances, and then he just keeps opening his mouth to the media, opening his mouth, doing interview. You know, you gotta be. I think Hazard has handled the situation so much more better than Thibaut Courtois in terms of just being professional and keeping your comments concise and not blagging too much to the media. Yeah. You know, because if you say too much, you put yourself in danger. And that's what Courtois has just done. He's just opened his mouth way too many times to the media. It's caused a backlash. Obviously, none of us like it. And it's got to the point now where I think, you know, we've got loads of Chelsea fans who are bringing up names of goalkeepers we should replace him with. You know, Oblak, Donnarumma. You know, there's so many other goalkeepers. People are like, we should get him, because they've just had enough. You know, this guy just talking to the press, and it's like he wants to go, even though he hasn't come out and said, "Yeah, I want to go," or "I'm definitely staying." It's all in the balance. If you know there's a negotiation going on, just keep it quiet, deal with the club, get it resolved. Whatever happens, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, to keep blagging to the media like he is, it's not needed. It's not needed.
Like, you know, some people might say, you know, you even said I was a bit harsh on Hazard.
Yeah.
If you thought I was harsh on Hazard, you know, you're going to be surprised now. Because, nah, mate, we should have just left him in Spain. Like, you know, he should have just stayed there and like done whatever he wants, because I can't be fucked anymore. Like, he's apparently one of the best keepers in the world, and he's been nutmegged by Messi 7 times in his life. Yes, it's Messi, but no one else is getting nutmegged by Messi 7 times. I'm 2 meters tall. Well, De Gea is like less than an inch shorter than you. He doesn't get nutmegged every week. You know, Buffon isn't exactly short. You know, what kind of excuse is that? Like,
Buffon himself, he's made a ton of individual errors himself. It's not as if he's never ever.
All right, but he's 40.
Even before, not just recently, but just throughout his career, he still made big.
But you know, Buffon hasn't been going around and saying, "Oh, I kind of want to leave." You know, you can accept the player making mistakes, and then he comes out in his interview and said he didn't expect Messi to shoot there. Like, have you watched him ever?
Yeah, honestly, if you're a world-class goalkeeper, you need to expect anything in any situation and be ready for it.
Yeah, I understand what you guys are saying.
No, wait, sorry. We get rid of the goalkeeping coach, you know, because he doesn't like him, who made Petr Cech from, you know, a good keeper into one of the world's best keepers, into the World 11 of the keepers, because that was a big part to play, Christophe Lolichon. And we get rid of him because of Courtois.
Yeah.
And then Courtois keeps saying, "Nah, you know, I want to leave." And then, you know, oh no, I'm committed. You know, he kind of just changes his mind, like, make your mind up. And then I'm like, you know, then he speaks about Conte and says, "No, Hazard has to be on the pitch for 90 minutes." Like, I mean, it's good that you say that, mate, but maybe you should actually play well yourself first, and then you can speak about the manager doing this stuff wrong.
No, things like that, just leave in the dressing room. You know, I'm not saying what he said was actually correct in that context. To keep on the pitch for 90 minutes, without a doubt. But don't give the opportunity to the press to start creating headlines about you and cause pressure, not only for you but your manager as well. It's not needed. And the thing with Courtois, my problem, and this is where if I would actually defend the club, the board as well, if it ever got to that sort of situation. The club has sacrificed a lot for Courtois. We gave Arsenal, a direct rival, our greatest keeper, right, who still had a little bit left in the tank. He could have gone maybe 1 or 2 more years, and now we've seen what he's doing at Arsenal. He's not exactly doing great. But we sacrificed Peter for a very low fee. We sacrificed the goalkeeper coach, who, bearing in mind, is still at the club, but he's got a much more of a backroom role now. He's not the goalkeeper coach anymore. He's the man who made Peter Cech what he was at Chelsea. We sacrificed him because he had a disagreement with Courtois, allowed Courtois to be the #1 goalkeeper, gave him all the space and everything to be #1 in the team, and then we get this. It's just, it just doesn't sit well at all.
We all know that he's a very good goalkeeper. You know, you think back to a number of saves that he's made, you know, in his time at Chelsea. Think back to the Sunderland save last season. You know, that was an incredibly, you know, huge save for us at that period. But then you see things like, I said it in my review of the Crystal Palace game, when he got nutmegged again. I wouldn't even say, he has to save that. But at the moment, it's like, does Courtois save anything? Of course, some shots a goalkeeper can't do anything about. We all know that. Like, if you put a top corner from 5 yards, how can you stop it? Yeah. But there is certain things I'm like, if you're the best goalkeeper ever, De Gea makes saves that you think, oh, that's impossible. If you saw De Gea saved against Benteke's header, when United turned the game around, that's a save Courtois wouldn't have made, and definitely not. And these kind of saves are, and if Courtois just isn't that good, all right, but then stop saying you're the best bloody goalkeeper in the world, and stop making us get rid of our goalkeeping coach. Stop making us get rid of our best ever goalkeeper. Stop doing these things. Stop demanding to come back from Atletico Madrid to be first choice and not even accepting to fight for a place. Like, what kind of attitude is that? If you're good enough in the first place, why are you not willing to fight for it? It's like Musunda bloody Celtic, going to Celtic just because they promised him first in football. 5 games later, he's on the bench.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'll ask you guys, what do you how many bad games has Courtois had this year that you can, other than the Barca game? What other performances was he below standard where you felt, Courtois is on the decline? He's not good enough.
No, go on.
Let's switch it. How many good games has he had where he's been stand out and gone, yeah, whoa, what a performance?
If you think about it, I mean, I don't know, stand out for goalkeepers. I mean, the reason why De Gea looks like a standout is because teams are constantly peppering shots at United. Defensively, we're a better team than United with our structure as well. So we're going to concede less shots on goal. So when Courtois does have them rare saves he has to make, normally, a lot of times he makes those saves, especially the important ones, especially the one-on-one saves. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I've seen one-on-one saves. It's not as if he's never saved for Messi. So I remember in the last World Cup when Messi was through on goal, he made that fantastic save. So he has it in his locker. I don't know, with Courtois, I kind of feel again, maybe people are being more harsh on him too because of maybe the stuff outside of the football in terms of because as fans we don't like it when players don't commit. It's natural. You know what I mean? It's your club. You want people for your club that are going to obviously not fight for the badge, but they want to be there. You know what I mean? Younes, I think you even said it yourself. I mean, you understood where Courtois was coming from in terms of obviously his family's in Madrid. Obviously his kids are there too. And when you got kids, it's not as if they're like 13, 14. When they're like little kids, they're young. You want to. They're like the precious years you can really have with them. You know what I mean? That you never get again. So
exactly,
this is what I mean. I don't want to try to sound like I'm just some bumlick or whatever, but I'm just trying to see it from his perspective. So it's like, in a way, you could say it's a big sacrifice because he's missing a part of his kids' lives, which he'll never get back again. It's obviously for his job and his career. I mean, it brings up a question. I mean, I don't get why his wife can't, or his girlfriend, or whoever she is, can't just move to London. That's his ex.
Exactly. De Bruyne is ex as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that. Right. I mean, surprisingly, I don't get how this guy's a player, but again,
not a nice guy.
When you're a tall guy, when you're tall, you can get any girl you want. Basically, that's how it works. You know what I mean? But so he's definitely been milking that. Similar to Crowd. You know what I mean? But obviously getting back on track. I mean, first of all, I think Courtois he manned up. He should be getting credit for, because he did something where most players don't state their weaknesses. He said that one of my weak areas, which I'm not world class at, is the fact that I do let goals go through my legs.
Well, maybe he would be better at that if we kept the actual goalkeeping coach.
No, but this is the thing. I wanted to bring up this point about the goalkeeping coach, because remember with Lollichon, he came from with Czech from Stade Ron or Rennes, or however you say. He came from Rennes, exactly. So. And this is what I mean. He's a goalkeeping coach, and this is why you can say maybe Czech's been underperforming so much at Arsenal, because that's his. Hear me out. Specialized coach to bring the best out of him. So for me, number one, I don't get why Arsenal aren't trying to get this guy in. If you want to get Czech back to his best one, because I know with Lollichon, they should be, because I know with Lollichon and Czech, for example, it was a very unorthodox training, and that makes sense. If it's your specialized goalkeeping coach, it's understandable that you're going to be doing very unique things that you couldn't just do with any player. And maybe Courtois thinking, well, think about it like this. Like I said, Lolichon's been with Czech since Rennes. We signed him when he was 21 years old. So he's been this goalkeeping coach in his entire life. Now, Courtois has a tons of different...
also played a part in scouting Courtois.
Pardon?
Courtois, Lolichon also played a part in scouting Courtois. Lolichon has known Courtois for a long, long time.
There's a difference between knowing and then being part of his coaching development. He hasn't ever been coaching Courtois when he was young. This is what I mean. Of course, he's a goalkeeping coach. He'll know what makes a standout keeper. But that's not the argument I'm making. The point I'm making is that, again, if he doesn't necessarily get the best out from Lolichon's training methods because Courtois is built different, you know what I mean? That's understandable. I don't think that's a strong point to make in terms of we've done so much.
It's about the manner of it, and because I know Christophe Lolichon's daughter, I know a bit more about this that I can't just publicize like that.
Yeah.
But I know that how things went down wasn't exactly nice. So it's not just about, okay, I can't work with him. Can we please get someone else in because we just don't get along? It wasn't like that.
I can imagine he was being a prick about it. But that's I'm not trying to say, again, when I was making this point, I wasn't trying to come from the point that I'm sure it was amicable to paint a rosy picture. I'm not. The point I'm trying to make is you just look at it in a cold analytical way. Maybe the methods just they don't complement each other because maybe Courtois just suits a different style of coaching. My only point with that was trying to make was that it's understandable. You know what I mean? Obviously, Czech would probably prefer to have Lolichon back to get back to his top form. He doesn't have him. You see that he's not as good now without him. So I kind of feel, of course, if it's your keeper, your number one guy, get the coach that complements him. Now, of course, whatever happened behind the scenes, I'm sure it wasn't amicable. I'm sure Courtois was definitely making sure to force this guy out. You know what I mean? That's a shame, but again, that's not part of the football, if you know what I mean. But that's what I mean. In regards to Courtois, when he is our number one, again, I don't remember too many bad performances where he's cost us games or made incredible mistakes. I mean, this is what I mean. I think so far, with Jack, I remember a few individual mistakes he made, but obviously during this peak, it's normal. I haven't seen too many blunders where Courtois cost us a game like Barcelona. That was the first game I've seen him play in 3-4 years, whatever, where he was the sole reason why we didn't win against them.
I think he should have saved 2 against Bournemouth and we lost 3-0. But the thing is, it isn't a debate. Is he a great goalkeeper or is he the worst goalkeeper we've ever seen?
Yeah.
The debate is he good enough to be worth all the trouble to keep him anyway? For me, for myself, that's the debate. Because he kind of wants to leave. And, I do the whole family thing, I do completely understand that. You can say it to the media once even. But how many times has he said that? But he did, only this season he said that 3 times. First time I heard that was in December.
Let me interject just quick. He did say that that he does want to stay afterwards. But he said he's going to do negotiations in the summer. And I've been saying this all the time. Obviously I'm saying it for so long. Guys, like the reason why Hazard and Courtois haven't signed contracts is because they're waiting for Conte to leave before they do that. Make that what you will, but that's the reality as to why they're not signing anything just yet. And Courtois stating that he'll sign it in the summer, to me, it's obvious because Conte won't be here in the summer. But then that Conte discussion will be for another live stream in the future with you guys. So,
but that's all fine. It's just still infuriating. Like, you don't need to repeat yourself in saying that, giving reasons why you kind of want to leave, why, just you don't need to say these things constantly. Isn't it enough if you know and the club know that maybe that's on your mind? Why does the media have to know about this? Because how there's always this, it's what's the word? Things aren't going well in the dressing room. Things that the manager has criticized the player to the media, so in the dressing room it's kicking off. If but then you hear about other managers. No, he's only criticized him inside the dressing room. They sorted out. It was all good.
Yeah.
These things affect dressing rooms. These things affect relationships within a club, and relationships within a club affect on-pitch performances. Exactly. Everyone knows that. If player performance relationships wasn't a thing, Diego Costa still be here.
Yeah.
So it clearly does have an effect on things. And then if you're mature enough and smart enough in a sense, you need to understand is if you're not playing well, if you don't get on with your manager and that affects your play, on-pitch performance, you're not going to get to Real Madrid. Because if you want to go there so badly, at the moment you're back up to Navas the way you're playing.
Yeah.
You're not replacing him at the moment.
Yeah.
So you know, he has to look out for himself as well. Like,
yeah. Let me ask this then. Okay, let's just move the conversation a bit. Let's say Courtois does leave. What type of keeper would you like to see replace him?
a good one.
Younes, let's start with you, Younes. What keeper would you like to see replace Courtois? And when you state this keeper, state whether you think he's achievable to get or not.
Okay, that kind of makes it a little bit difficult. The name that's popped up a lot, and we've all heard it, we've all seen it, is Oblak of Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Would they let him go though? As you said, Nini, but they'd be crazy if they did.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon.
They are crazy.
They are, yeah, because we got Courtois from them, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of goalkeepers out there, another one that they would say would be Donnarumma from AC Milan, but there's talk that he's already made up his mind and he's off to Juve, I think, or somewhere else. I forgot where it was.
Made a huge blunder against Arsenal today.
Yeah, exactly. He's made quite a few mistakes, you know. But yeah.
I think Donnarumma. If I can just say something on that, I think Donnarumma is, you know, probably going to be a very good goalkeeper, but he's 19. I don't think we should be signing a 19-year-old to be our first choice, you know, goalkeeper, no matter how good he is. That's not a good shout, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oblak, if he, you know, we can get him, which I think we can, because Atletico Madrid aren't exactly the most stable financially, especially after getting the new ground. Not saying as in they don't know what they're doing, but as in, you know, Atletico Madrid aren't, you know, financially the biggest club. So if you offer them the right money, they will sell. If you go to anyone but Oblak, you know, you're starting to struggle a bit more. You know, some people are speaking about the Roma goalkeeper, Alisson, who's very good, who's ahead of Edison in the national team. You know, Thiago Silva isn't playing the national team, and he's clearly a better centre-back than Miranda, so the Brazilian national team doesn't always say that much. You know, Fred was in it, and Fred. But, you know, he's a good keeper. Is he on the level that Courtois is? Probably not. Is he on the level that Czech was? Probably not. Yeah. So if you're looking for very good goalkeepers to replace Courtois at the moment, no, you're going to struggle. But that's where you're coming in with the situation of, you know, Costa isn't the type of player, you know, of the quality of the players that we should get. Drinkwater isn't, you know, the quality of the players that we should get. Alonso, okay, has kind of proven people wrong because he's not quick, but everything else he does is quite good. His possessional awareness is very off sometimes, but everything else is better than you can expect for, in today's market, a £24 million player. You have Ross Barkley who's constantly injured. You know, we didn't sign him in the summer because he was injured. Then we get him, plays a game or two, he's injured again and injured for a month. Like, what's the point? And then you get Emerson, who can be very good, you know. I've not seen enough of him to judge on that, but he's definitely not as good as Alexander is.
Haven't seen any of him. Fair, but
yeah.
And it's just like, you know, we're not even going to try and get Oblak if we do get rid of Courtois. Let's be honest, we're not even going to try. Or if we are going to try, we're going to offer 10 million.
Okay, so let's say Courtois goes. How much money would you guys take for him? So, Lawrence, how much money? What's an acceptable bid to take Courtois away from us?
See, now, if you compare it, and, you know, Real Madrid have been after a goalkeeper for quite a while. You know, they almost got De Gea and bottled that because apparently fax machines aren't the thing in Madrid or in Manchester. One of the two. Now, how quick you want to add on that? Who uses fax machines? Have they ever heard of email? Anyway, my point is they've been after goalkeepers for a good while, and you know, if someone like I can't remember the name, Van Dijk goes for 75 million, you're probably gonna have to talk about 100 million for Courtois.
Yeah,
like any less, you're probably not gonna say you know that's value.
Yeah,
I would say yeah. For a goalkeeper as well, obviously you can't value a goalkeeper like an outfield player. But if in terms of what he's meant to be worth and an acceptable sort of bid, yeah, definitely 100 million, definitely.
Okay, 100 million.
What would you say?
1 sec. Yeah, someone sent their question and I'm trying to send to Bernardo Barroso. I've sent you an email. You need to reply back to me quickly if you can see it. So I've called you out, Bernardo. Thanks for sending obviously the PayPal for your question, but you know, you need to check my email. But I mean, yeah, with Courtois, I mean, it would, if we did go for 100 million, that would be crazy. That a keeper is. I mean, how many players have gone? Here's the thing: how many players have gone for more than 100 million in the history of football? What Neymar, Mbappe, and Coutinho. They're the only three. So I think it is a bit rich to ask. You know, it's a bit rich.
I don't think
100 million for Courtois.
I don't think anything is rich anymore with Van Dijk being worth 75 million. I don't think anything is rich anymore.
I don't know. I think Courtois would be a 60, 70 million player, but then I'm just thinking, you want Oblak, how much money is he going to cost? You know, because we know that clubs do have a transfer budget. How much of that budget is Oblak going to take? If he decides he wants to leave Atletico, and then you'd be thinking, why would he want to leave Atletico? And why would Atletico sell him and they can't get a replacement?
Why would he want to leave Atletico? Because we're going to pay him double his wages.
Yeah, we say that, but you know, I mean, I know Atletico do have those new Chinese investors. I mean, it's not as if they got no money at all. And you know, with the environment and obviously team, you know, obviously when you're with your team and that, I know money helps, but then I don't know. I wonder what his buyout clause is, because here's the thing: Oblak's not leaving until that buyout clause is met. You're not going to negotiate to bring that buyout clause down. So I'm literally, I'm going to actually Google that to actually find out how much is Oblak's buyout clause.
I mean, I completely understand your point of, you know, with the money, and I do agree that the money in itself is crazy. But Neymar isn't worth 220 million. Van Dijk is certainly not worth 75 million. Like any of our defenders, even bloody Cahill is better than Van Dijk. No, I'm joking. I'm not being serious, but you know.
I hear what you're saying, but here's what I'm saying. Oh, so I just Googled it. Oblak's buyout clause is 100 million. So
well, there we go.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing: would you guys feel comfortable knowing that obviously other areas in the squad could be much better and could do that investment, spending 100 million to bring in Oblak when
is that Euros?
Just keep Courtois. That's what I mean. That's what I think.
If we're doing the whole in-out policy like the club always do nowadays, and we got an offer similar to that sort of figure for Courtois, we could reinvest it. Yeah,
but again, this is what I mean. It's not as if we're like, let's say we're like a Paris Saint-Germain, where they've already got a great squad where they can less afford to just buy 2-3 players, and that's why they spent massive on Mbappe and Neymar. You know, with us, there's a lot of areas we need to improve. I think it would be stupid to spend that type of money on a goalkeeper. No goalkeeper's worth that price, because, again, I mean, I've always thought goalkeepers are pretty weird. A lot of the best goalkeepers that people rave about end up being the goalkeepers playing for the best teams. And normally when you play for the best teams, you're not getting too many shots on goal. And normally you've got some of the best defenses in front of you. So I've always felt it's kind of weird, that whole dynamic. But
let's have bloody Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's decent. I know Butland's has talks of him. You know, Zuma he's impressed with him. I know there's this guy from Toulouse called Lafont who I think is interested. I know Horn from FC Cologne. I think he's been. I mean, there's definitely keepers out there, but I just kind of feel that, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I know I sound cynical, but I made that point earlier about how guys like Lampard and Drogba were looking for moves away at times, and they were looking at what the options were. Yeah. 2 years later, 2009, 010, Drogba's got 37, Lampard's got 27. We forget about all those moments behind, because now their legacy is bigger than those individual moments. I mean, Courtois still is only, 24 years old. There's a time where, let's say he stays at the club and 3 years later, and let's say we're a better team or we're winning, I'm sure a lot of people will be forgiving of how he was. Because if we can be forgiving with guys like Lampard and Drogba back then, I don't think it's crazy that 3 years from now, when everyone's forgotten about Courtois wanting to force a move away. You know what I mean?
Of course it's not. But if he changes his mind and decides he wants to stay, and he also, you know, doesn't have performances like he did on Wednesday, fine. You know, why?
He is going to be staying at Chelsea, and he's going to do the negotiations. He said, and I think about it like this. He said in the conference, it's not right for me to obviously ask for negotiations now. And why is he saying that? Because he's thinking about my performance as shit against Barcelona. It'd be pretty rich for me to go to the club now to start contract negotiations. He's saying in the summertime I'll do that, and I will be staying regardless. So that either tells me two things. One, let's say he sorted out his kid's situation, because if he has, then you know what I mean. And then
did you hear him say anything last season? His kids were already in Spain.
Yeah, I know, but again,
it's just like we're not winning. Oh, I'm not happy.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's just like, you know, like obviously, like, you know, when you're in a relationship and it's like you know, when your girl tells you something that you did 2 years ago, it's just like you don't want to hear it. It's like, come on, why are you still talking about that? That's what I'm kind of thinking for that point you made. So that's what I mean. Yeah, I know he did stuff back then and that, but babes, come on, I did this time ago. Just forget about it, you know. So,
I remember that one time when you didn't clean up the dishes.
Exactly. I mean, that's definitely my girlfriend. She'll bring up shit from what I did 6 years. I mean, honestly, it's a nightmare sometimes. But that's what I mean. But yeah, you guys, we'll move the conversation on. So obviously talking about the future of the club for a bit, and then after that, obviously people will be coming in. So obviously, you know, talk to us directly with some of their questions. So that should be a bit of a fun segment. So yeah, that should be good. But anyway, moving on to the next point, and that's obviously, where can you see our season going from now? Now, are you guys confident that we can still get into the Champions League? Yeah, we'll start with that point, actually. Are you confident we can get into the Champions League, Younes?
I'm confident. In all honesty, no. Do I believe we can do it? Yes. It's tough. We've just put ourselves in that situation now, haven't we, where we're chasing it rather than trying to protect it, because that's the situation that Liverpool and Tottenham are in. And the fact that we have to play Spurs, and we're lucky there's no Harry Kane for that game, and that's official. Plus we've got to play Liverpool. I think it makes this game on Sunday really, really key. Because if we beat Leicester and we go, you know, from that point onwards, our next game is Tottenham. It just sends us into that game with great spirits, you know, full of confidence. Yeah, we're in the semi-final of the FA Cup. We're doing all right. If we were to get knocked out by Leicester, knowing how our team can be like in terms of mentally capitulating against big opposition, even little ones sometimes like Bournemouth, I wouldn't be so confident, because I think that game against Tottenham will reveal everything. If we beat Tottenham, top four's definitely on. If we don't, I think it's over.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't beat Spurs, of course it's over, obviously. But I'm quite confident that we will beat Spurs, no matter what happens, because it's Spurs at Stamford Bridge. It's just a thing. So especially it's true. No, but my point is, what I'm worried about is, are we going to get the points at Burnley away, Newcastle away, and West Ham at home? That's what I'm worrying about, of getting the points, because I think we're going to beat Spurs probably, but it's the games around it, because it's not in our hands. It's not like we're 2 points off, and by beating Spurs we would go above them. It's they need to drop other points, or they need to drop more points than we do, and that's the thing I'm worried about. Can we do it? Of course we can, but then we're back to the consistency thing. Then we have good games. Then we have games in which, you know, we somehow scrape through, and then we have games in which we can't finish and then concede 2 kind of unlucky goals. And it could be anything in every single game. We could have beat Barcelona. We could have, you know, conceded 5, and it could have been a 2-2 draw. It could have been anything, literally just in that game of that performance. And you just never know what you're going to get. Am I confident that we will do it? No, because like I said, you know, we have to beat Spurs, and we have to drop less points than they will. And, you know, people go on about Harry Kane. Yes, they didn't have Harry Kane last season for like a month and a half or something. And they still won all of their games then, you know. It might, you know, harm them in beating us, but they will probably somehow still scrape by most other games. So, you know, that's why I'm worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a bit of a signer, but there's one point I wanted to bring back, the Courtois thing. I'm not even going to get into it, but I was just going to make the comparison between, obviously, you know, when with De Gea, what's the difference between those two? But again, I'm not going to get into that. But I mean, keeping on topic, of course, Spurs, if we don't beat them, then we're out. I think we will, because Spurs don't win at Stamford Bridge. But this has been a season where things that were formalities, or things where we used to have the advantage, hasn't been happening this year. So that is the worry, definitely.
To be fair, at home in the big games, we've been quite good. Yeah,
you're right, and exactly, we have. It's been away, so we've lost everything. You know, away we've been useless. But so we have a chance against Spurs, and you know, I think with Kane being injured, I mean, if he is fit, if he does come back in the game, he won't be 100% fit. So that's going to be an advantage.
No time.
Just kick him a bit.
Exactly. So he won't be at his maximum best physically. So, you know, he's still dangerous, of course. But I mean, yeah, I mean, this is it. We have to just hope for the cup run. I think if we can have a nice cup run in the FA Cup, that confidence of, you know, obviously competing for a trophy to win something, I think that desire should help us throughout the other games, because I think really the big tests, they're only against Liverpool and Spurs. And I see us getting a win against Spurs and a draw against Liverpool, but I think they're the results.
Burnley away is a big test.
Burnley away, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, they are,
but for us, not for Man City.
I know what you mean. Yeah, exactly. But have they been as great at home this season, Burnley, compared to I can't remember.
I mean, they're seventh. It can't be that bad.
No, Burnley's home form is ridiculous. Their away form let them down big time.
That's what's been bad. Yeah, and again, previous games with Costa, I think last year we drew against them, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, but that was because Matic decided to backheel it at the edge of the box.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they are a bit of a bogey team because, again, we drew against them, we lost against them this season. We've played against them 3 times. We've only won once, right?
Yeah.
We've won.
We beat them 3-0 at home last season, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. So
yeah,
and we haven't got, yeah, exactly. So that out of 9 points, we picked up 4 out of 9. So
yeah. That's what I'm worried about it. And West Ham is just like, it's just one of those games. Like,
yeah, I mean, they picked up.
Which might suddenly turn up and just.
Well, look, if we don't get a result against West Ham, right? West Ham, we all saw what happened at West Ham.
Yeah, round 2.
If we don't beat that, I'm sorry. No, that's unacceptable.
Younes running on the bloody pitch. If we
on the pitch, yeah, exactly. Right, we might all have to jump on and start backing it, but that's what I mean. Thinking about it is getting a bit worrisome because, again, anytime you play against teams that play with extremes, for example, you know, your Burnleys and West Ham's, their extreme is they're very defensive. They don't care about counter-attacks. You know, they'll happily play with 20% possession throughout the game and not play with the ball. And we've struggled against them. We've struggled against teams with another extreme where they like to press us high and attack and flood men forwards. And, you know, we're playing games against teams where, you know, your West Broms, your Burnleys and your Liverpools and Spurs. But honestly, it is going to be difficult. But I think moving on to the next point, let's say hypothetically we don't get into Europe.
Can I just ask a quick question? I think it's almost a pointless question, but Conte was asked this.
No.
Conte was asked this in the press conference today. And, you know, if we had to choose one out of getting top 4 and, you know, winning the FA Cup, which one would you choose?
What did he say?
Well, he said we want to do both. But I want to know what you two are going to say.
I say both. You guys are my pure. Yeah.
You can't say that because that's not the point of the question.
Getting top. I mean, yeah.
You'd have to say,
that's for the Champions League next year, I guess. I mean, of course, realistically, will we have a chance of winning it probably next year? No.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I mean. Getting a trophy is something that you look at the trophy cabinet. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. Of course, it's not the right argument I'm making, but I still have these fears that I hope us fans don't develop this Arsenal mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a few things we're doing, and I just hope we're not going to go in that direction in terms of following that Arsenal model. Because, you know, let's just move on to the next one about what would happen if we don't make it into the Champions League. I think there's one thing no one's really speaking about. I mean, I was touching upon it in last night's live stream, but that's the fact that we're not really seeing Rome in the stadium now. Obviously, Younes, I know you're very involved in your politics. You know a lot more between what's happening with you know, with Rome and with his legal issues and, you know, issues with you know, ties with Putin, etc. And I think there's reports too that he's having a divorce with his new wife. Yeah,
apparently he's in the process of. Well, I don't know if it's all been finalized, but yeah, it's definitely begun. He's definitely divorcing.
Exactly. So he's doubly fucked then, basically. And
no, he's got a prenup and he's fine.
Oh, so he's yeah, of course, because the first one took away so much. But I mean, I mean, you got to expect that if you're going to look for another woman when you're still married.
I mean, just sell the yacht and you'll be fine, mate.
I mean, he can't. That's why honestly, this is what I hate about rich people sometimes. Why would he even need a yacht? Like, but anyway,
why does he need a new stadium?
Yeah, I guess. But here's what I'm saying: Roman hasn't really been out of the game as watching it. He's got his other issues, and it's coming at the time when Marina is obviously getting more control. And I've been making this point where I feel there's a lot of power plays being made. I kind of feel a lot of things have been done, especially in this season. So obviously, it's like not like Game of Thrones. It's not as violent as that. But obviously,
Russia's involved. Never know.
Don't worry, we'll just pop up or something.
Yeah, exactly.
In case any Russians are watching,
yeah,
it was just a joke. And Putin, you're watching, please don't kill me.
Yeah, leave the stream alone. But that's what I'm saying. I kind of feel why think about why is Marina year after year she's been getting more control already because she is like Roman's right hand person, right. Not even woman, this white man person. You know what I mean? And let's say it's coming to a point where maybe Roman's, and it's starting to look like that to me, where he's not going to be as super involved now because he's got his other issues. And maybe this is why he's been looking for someone like a Marina, where, of course, he can still be involved, but then there's someone he can trust to run the club, and he doesn't have to be as involved. You know what I mean? Now, this could bring up interesting discussions. Like, let's say, for example, gets to a point where, I don't know, Roman gets hit by something ridiculous, by some law case or whatever, who knows what's going to happen. And this makes sense because, of course, when you're a powerful person like that, you think of every possibility in terms of you're not going to take any chance. I kind of feel maybe this club will become a bit of an investment to him if, let's say, things aren't favorable, or don't go in his way. We could start to see a bit of an Arsenal model where, let's say, I can imagine, let's say some Chinese consortium want to buy 30% of the club. We have like 2 billionaire owners, and they're just using it as an investment and not putting money in. I mean, look at Arsenal. Well, they've got Kroenke and who's the other guy, Usmanov. And I know we're starting to see some investment this season in particular. But that's because of the Sky money more than anything. You know what I mean? You weren't seeing any investment, and they had billionaire owners. You know what I mean? So if they were serious, they could have done that. My only worry is maybe, let's say we don't get into the Champions League. That could be the kickstart of something like that. You know what I mean? But again, this is more hypothetical, and it comes down to, let's say, if a lot of the worst case scenarios happen. You know what I mean? That's my worst case scenario, because I think if that's the case, then I think we will start to be a bit more like Arsenal in the future.
The worrying thing is, can I just say?
Yeah.
The worst case, right? With what's happened in the last few days, and Roman Abramovich being Russian and the Putin ally allegedly. Let's just say worst case scenario, because of what we all know, that what's brewing now is this rhetoric of a new Cold War between Russia and us, right, and the British. And there's already talk about freezing assets that belong to high-profile Russians in this country.
Yes.
Now, that would definitely mean that Chelsea Football Club, which is an asset to Roman Abramovich, would get. Now, we are all in the middle of that. Yeah. Let's just hope it doesn't get to that.
Can you just stop making me cry, please?
But I think it's an important discussion to make, because I feel that this could be a reality that no one's talking about or thinking of. It could have real repercussions.
If this tension keeps going, which it looks like it is, because no one's backing down here, it could get to a point where, high-profile Russians would get penalised and their assets would get frozen, and Abramovich is a Putin ally.
Exactly. And think about it like this. Yeah, exactly. 100% agree with what you're saying. And this is why is it that Marina has become more prominent all of a sudden? It's not as if she made herself more prominent. Roman, in a way, has given her that position to take over when he's not there. So maybe this would be a precaution in case of the worst case scenario.
You never know. Yeah, definitely. He could be prepping for that. In terms of the footballing side and us not making the Champions League, I agree that my worry is that we don't have the capabilities in the team to be able to claw back like we did a few years ago when we missed out on Champions League football. We had the high-profile players. We had the team to be able to say, yeah, you know what? It's just a season. We'll be back. It's fine. But with other teams strengthening and us not investing, and this tension now, and the fact that, yeah, Roman could be taking a step back, Marina might be taking a step forward, all of that into a blender as one could mean, yeah, we might be missing out on the Champions League for a while. You know, if we were investing, or we were actually, you know, having the key players in the team that were top class, that like we used to have, and we could say, yeah, you know what, it's all right, we'll be back. But with other teams strengthening around us, and the fact that we're struggling already with the team we have now, say that we might not miss out for the next 2 or 3 years. You know, maybe, yeah, we could become the new Arsenal, and that's something I never thought I'd say. Yeah. Honestly, I did not see this coming. I really didn't.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah, sorry. Lawrence. Sorry. I was actually going to introduce you to make your point. So,
fair enough. So, yeah. What I think about the whole situation is like, unless something changes to compare to what it's been like over the last 2 or 3 years, the way we invest, I don't think it makes a huge difference whether we're in the Champions League or not, because we don't really sign players that, you know, cost us a lot of money in the first place. We make a lot more money just from being in the Premier League than from actually getting to the Champions League. And if we don't invest, there's no difference anyway. Because, you know, if we don't invest, okay, say we get, you know, finish 4th now and make Champions League next season. If we still don't invest in the summer, maybe we'll miss out next season. If we still somehow scrape through, well, maybe we'll miss out the season after. If we don't start investing properly, like Manchester United, like Manchester City do, even like Liverpool do with paying 75 million for a centre-back. If we don't do that, it doesn't matter whether we miss out now or miss out in 2 years. At the end of the day, it really won't make a difference. But if that does happen, we as a club do have to make a decision. Do we want to, you know, go out and invest and compete with Man United and Man City? Or do we want to go towards a different model and recall the 40 little players and actually use them? Because there's no point in signing Zappa Costa and Bakayoko and Barkley and Drinkwater and, you know, all of those lot when you have multiple very good. Maybe they're not that good. Maybe then, I'm not saying not that good overall. Maybe they're not as good as those players we sign now. Maybe not. But, you know, you have them. You don't have to pay 25 million for them. If you look at this from a financial standpoint, you know, if you don't want to invest and you want to build this new stadium to play Östersund in the Europa League in front of 40,000 in a 60,000 seater. But no, that's the point though. Like, with not investing in the squad, we're going to miss out on Champions League, and we're going to play the likes of Östersund and Krasnodar in a 60,000 seater stadium, which we're not going to sell out. So I don't see the point in the stadium in the first place. You know, renovate, make a new stand, maybe like Liverpool did on the current Stamford Bridge. Don't renovate it. Don't build a new one.
I don't think they would. I think I can't remember fully. I'm paraphrasing, but I definitely know there wasn't an option to, you know, get a new stand, because that I do remember that was an option they looked at, but it wasn't a possible thing. They had to structure.
Yeah,
Younes?
Well, even still.
Yeah, no, apparently renovating isn't possible. The fact that there's train tracks on the other side, I forgot what stand it is, the east end, the west end. We can't push out further. You can't build higher. The same goes for the other side because of the housing. And then the other 2 stands behind the goals are just, it's impossible to renovate either way. So you've got to build and do all of it. But I agree. I agree with Lawrence. If we were talking about a capacity stadium that hit 70, 80,000, I'd be like, okay. But we're doing all of this for an extra 17,000 or 18,000 seats.
That's still quite a lot, though, because I mean, if Stamford Bridge is like 42,000 capacity, an extra 16,000 is like what, 40% more. So it does make a difference. Remember, a stadium, you don't rebuild a stadium every 10 years. You know, a stadium is something that lasts you probably 50 years or even more. So this is a massive investment. That here's the thing, you know, sometimes I think in context of certain stuff like that, we've got to look at the long-term thing, because with investments like that, that's so because we'll still be fans in 20 years time. It's going to be completely different. Things will look way more positive now. I mean, we can't predict what's going to happen, but you have to put these safeguards down where, well, financially, I think it's a good investment, because Chelsea do have plans of wanting to be one of the best clubs in Europe. So you need a stadium to match something like that. And I don't know if it's possible where, let's say, for example, you can extend get extensions with the, in terms of the capacity in the future. I don't know the planning permissions or
probably not because of the limited space. Like I think it's basically, an architectural miracle that we can even build a 60K seater stadium there, because it's the same architects that planned the Allianz Arena for Bayern Munich, for example, and they had like almost double the space to use. And I do completely understand your point. I just feel like maybe this is the wrong time to do it because of the way the transfer market for football players has changed. 10 years ago when Arsenal did it, you could still buy, good players for 20-30 million. Now, if you're going to spend $1 billion on a new stadium and you don't want to spend more than 40 million on a player, you're not going to get anywhere. And that's why I'm saying, if we want to build a stadium, fine, do it. It's in the plan anyway. It's going to happen unless something major happens. But, if we want to do that and we don't want to look at it financially, want to be stable and want to make money so we can, once the stadium is done, rise, if you will, use the youth. Because there's just repeat myself, there's no point of signing the players that we've signed over the last few years. There's just no point.
But let me throw a few things in there. Here's what I'm thinking. Obviously, my points in it being an investment, for example. But then, at the same time, too, first of all, you made the point that it's not the right time to do it. But then you could argue when is the right time. And I know your point. You gave your point, which was obviously in regards to investment on players. So basically, I just want to give my thoughts on those 2 points. So the first point in regards to the right time. But think about it like this. Obviously, we've become self-financing. I think this is the year where we finally were in a positive in terms of revenue for the year. And another positive too, Sky, the amount of investment in the Premier League has never happened in the history in this country. It's the biggest investment in football from any country ever. So the amount of revenue on top that these clubs have is incredible. I mean, for example, let's say if Arsenal, let's say if the Premier League was as big when Arsenal were building the Emirates, I'm sure that if, let's say, they knew that, oh shit, this investment's coming in, we'll start planning to get this new stadium 2 years in advance. You know what I mean? Because there's money there. And the third point, let's not forget too, we've signed a new chief director and a new commercial director, because what was announced earlier, I think his name is Chris Townsend and Guy, what's his name? Guy, not Guy Fawkes, Guy something. Guy, you know what I mean? Guy something.
I know Guy,
yeah, Guy Philly. I don't know, but anyway, but that's what I mean. We've signed guys because now we finally become now a very attractive proposition to. What was that? What was that? I don't want to know what that was. It sounds aggressive. That sounds aggressive. You might as well, put that on silent.
It's not that kind of live stream.
Yeah, you're on the wrong side for that, man. But like I'm trying to say, we've finally become a very marketable club to obviously invest in. I mean, I think the Nike deal really should speak volumes in terms of how much money we'll potentially be coming in. I mean, we cancelled the Adidas deal, and then Nike gave us a ridiculous deal on top, which was negotiated by Marina. Now, when you've got someone like that, Chris Townsend guy, the guy who got all the investments for the Olympics, I mean, and I think he generated record amounts of investment, up to 2 billion, which is crazy. Then you've got another guy, and that guy is something. And I think one of them is a Chelsea fan as well. On top of that, financially, in terms of the future, I don't think we'll get to a point where we won't have money. And I know I sound kind of contradictory in terms of the point I made about Roman. At the same time, I don't know. Obviously, of course, Roman invests a lot in the club. I don't know how deep it goes. And again, and I did make the point too, that's like a worst case scenario type of thing. But you can see already there's safeguards in place in terms of, this is why we've been so strict with following financial fair play, so we can never be fucked in the future. This is why we're bringing in big guys that have brought in massive deals whenever they've been working at previous companies. This is why the new stadium's coming in now, because we'll be making even more money in the next 10 years. Because as Chris said himself, the plan is by in the next 8 years to was it to triple or quadruple the revenue they're bringing in now? I can't remember what it was, but they wanted to bring in at least 80 different type of investment partnerships with companies and stuff. I know there's a massive deal that's been secured with a tech company. I think this is why there's Wi-Fi in the stadium. That was a new deal that was brought in. So this is what I mean, you guys. In terms of investment for players, let's not worry, because I know you made that point about obviously Liverpool signed Van Dijk, United signed big players in Lukaku and Sanchez. If I'm being cynical, you could say, well, what's Van Dijk's introduction done in terms of making Liverpool's defense much better? And obviously United have Lukaku, Sanchez, all these big money guys, but then they got outplayed by Sevilla, who cost nothing. You know what I mean? That's just me being cynical. But here's what I think: what the main focus should be, though, isn't in terms of us worrying if we can afford to get players, because we can. The main focus should be the philosophy to bring in the right type of players, because we've spent big money this summer. Let's not forget. Here's the thing: that the mistake we make is that because a lot of these guys weren't goods, we feel that this is why they came in. But again, we signed very average players for big money. 40 million Morata will cost 70. And let's not forget that the other players too. I mean, I made this point too. We were making bids of 60 million for Sandro, which was turned down. We were making Barkley was going to come with 35 million in the summer before he rejected coming. Those bids were still being made for players. But here's the thing. The main thing is that we can't attract them because, one, some of these players don't want to come. And two, obviously, not that we get priced out, because I'm sorry, I'm not going to use them. Pogba to me is an outlier, because if you're paying 20 million to an agent, and if Real Madrid aren't paying that type of money, then you shouldn't even care about that. I think there was the same thing for Neymar and Mbappe.
Lukaku as well, supposedly.
Exactly. But I mean, if you look at Man City, they spent a lot of money, but then they've spent it on the right signings. Have Man City spent more than 50 million on a player? I don't think they
64 have. 64 on Laporte, I think.
Laporte was the only one. That's the first one they broke. Yeah, exactly. But again, I was on the right type of player. And this is what I'm trying to say. The focus now, because the money is there and it's always going to be there, we need the philosophy, so we bring in the right players. Because I make this point, really, we should have kept Costa. Really, Matic should have stayed here. We should have only spent money on. I kept saying before the summer started, just 3 big players. That's what I want to see us do. Now, when you've got guys like Conte talking about, we remember what we were saying at the end of last season. I want a bigger squad. Now, what does bigger squad mean to you? It means you want more backup players. Now, when that's your first, obviously, reference in terms of what you want to do in the summer, to me, I was getting angry because I'm thinking, well, that's going to waste. I'd rather us focus on 3 top players instead of focusing on 8 players, because, of course, it's going to be very hard to get, because we brought in a ridiculous amount of players in this.
I think we can all agree on that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. And I just think that this is what I mean. If there was this philosophy where it's like, because I felt the squad last year was very good. We just only needed about 3 players to make the first 11 even better. You know what I mean? And again, with Conte not wanting to use the youth players for some reason, he thought guys like Baka and Drinkwater would be better than Ruben and Chalobah, and maybe even though Rudiger's decent. When you got Zuma, all I see is that, let's say if you weren't wasting your time signing those 4 players, let's say if you knew, okay, I only want Sandro, I only want Lukaku, I only want this guy, because clubs have budgets anyway. So let's say you've got 250 million in the summer. As long as you don't go over that, you can pay 80 million for one player. You know what I mean? There was ever a point where we got priced out. People keep saying we get priced out. We weren't, because we still made those big bids. Let's not forget Lukaku. Remember, everyone forgot this detail. When United came in with the bids, we matched it. But then Lukaku didn't want to sign for us at the end. And this brings up my point I keep saying. The only criticism I'll give the boys, and when it comes to negotiating for some of these big players, when you're starting at very stupid low bids, you're just going to long yourself out even more. So I'm just praying in the summer we're not going to do that same shit anymore.
But that's I completely agree with basically everything you said. The only thing is, with the whole, growing financially even bigger and bigger and bigger and quadrupling the revenue, are you going to be able to quadruple the revenue if you're not in the Champions League? And if you, and you're probably not. Yes, big companies will come in because we're in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But some companies will say, well, if you're not in a Champions League, maybe we're not going to go there. Maybe we're going to go to Liverpool. Maybe we're going to go to Tottenham.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to go to Arsenal or whatever. And then you also have to think about, you said, yeah, we did spend a lot of money, which is utterly ridiculous, the amount of money we spent on the types of players we did sign. And I completely agree that that's down to Conte and the board taking too long and matching those bids. It's all well and good, yeah. But there's no point signing Drinkwater for 40 million and selling Chalobah for 5 million, when in quality there's hardly any difference. Drinkwater's more experienced, but Chalobah's a lot younger. So selling Chalobah with supposedly without a buyback clause, most ridiculous thing we've done all summer, I think. And all of these things combined, and then yes, of course, we have the money. It's just because you're not going to get a very, very, very good player at the moment for 40 million. You're just not going to anymore. And that's just the thing. And if you're, except for one or two, you're not willing to pay more than 40 million, because if the way we're going, if we don't finish in the top four, there is a huge risk of losing Hazard and Courtois and, Morata eventually, these kind of players, the big players that we do have. And the more of those we do risk losing, the more expensive players we will have to sign to actually get back to the level of competing for trophies, which then, generates more revenue, because the more we're competing for stuff, the more companies want to be involved, because, we're, more marketable. And if we're not willing to spend on players in the build up to that and not be big enough, because, when Arsenal were always the top four club still with all the issues, but now that more and more money is coming in, just the money of Roman, he can spend it. Of course, he can spend 200 million on someone if he wants to. Why would he from his own money? Of course, he wants to make it from the club. But, there is a way to go to get to that. Like you said, the bigger stadium, getting more and more, deals in, not the Nike money. And, if you think about, we've spent less money on net spend than we've made from Carabao, Nike, and Yokohama. Of course, there's staff to be paid, there's securities to be paid, there's, wages in general. You have a lot of going out to the club, more than probably, you really understand when you just, quickly think about it, because a club must have such, such huge amounts of outgoing that have nothing to do with the squad itself. But still, when you just have a Nike deal of 60 million, a Yokohama deal of 40 million, a Carabao deal of 10 million, and then you have, season tickets and tickets in general, while they're not as expensive as Arsenal, they still give us millions a year. And, you have all this money, and then you sign 40 million players. Yes, we signed Morata for 70. And, for a striker, we shouldn't have sold Diego Costa, because there wasn't any very, very good strikers out there, because you're not going to get Lewandowski, you're not going to get Luis Suarez. And then you're kind of struggling already with the top strikers that are actually better than Costa, because everyone else, I'd say, a lot of players are on the level of Costa, but there's not many above Costa. So you were always going to struggle if you're going to lose Costa. But, that's why I went back to, that's why I said this about the youth, because I completely agree with you. And I said this multiple times. We should have signed 3 players. And for bigger squad, we should have kept Chalobah and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, because of the multiple more competitions. We would have been well able to, use them, constantly. And if you use those players constantly, they will improve. And if they then turn out to be better than the players we do have in those positions, you can play them. If they don't turn out to be better, sell them. Fair enough. Some players have their potential. Some players have, a lower potential. That's just what it is. Every person has different sorts of abilities. But all in that, all together, you need to be somewhere, because there's so much more money being spent, there's so much more revenue coming in for every Premier League club. It's not just us. So if we're losing out on the way of going to the big club, like Arsenal plan to be the new Bayern Munich, but because everyone else started spending so much more than they probably anticipated when they came up with that financial plan, they struggle with that a lot more to keep in that position and stay in that position of trying to win trophies while trying to achieve all of that. And if we're saying in 8 years you want to quadruple our revenue, well, that's well and good. But on the way there, if we're not going to finish in the top 4, if we're not competing for anything, that will take longer to actually get those revenues in. So that's the thing. What I'm worried about is, like, make a decision. Do you want to compete now? Do we want to compete now? And you said about Man City, but why can Man City spend 64 on Laporte and 58 on Mendy and 50 million on Stones and 50 million on Walker? Because they have a good squad around. Because they have Aguero, they have De Bruyne, they have Leroy Sané, they have Fernandinho, because they spent well on Sané and they got lucky. You can never be 100% sure when you sign a young player, will he be that good?
Yeah,
you can never be 100% sure. You couldn't be sure with Hazard either.
Exactly. You're right. I just quickly interject. This is the point about signing the right targets. I mean, recently, how many flop signings have City made? I mean, I think Danilo is probably the only one you can think of.
And he's still one player because he can play in 3 positions.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of why he was, I mean, when you've got Delph and Zinchenko midfielders playing over you at fullback, and obviously it's not a good thing at all. The manager's doing that. But I'm saying they've signed so many players. How many of them have been flops they haven't been flops because Man City have that style under Guardiola. They know how to play and they know what type of players they want for it. Now, the issue why we keep signing these random players and keep wasting money all the time is the fact that we don't have that philosophy just yet. But Younes, what's your thoughts and your opinions on this matter?
Yeah, no, I think I reflect what Lauren said. The fact that everyone, we're not in that time anymore where we can afford to just go out and splash 30, 40 million on a player. Everyone's value's gone up. So to stay relevant, just to stay relevant and to be amongst those sort of clubs, you have to be splashing out a lot more of what you really want to be paying for players. Nowadays, everyone's value's gone up, hence why we paid 40 for Drinkwater.
Yeah.
We paid that sort of money for those players, whereas 6-7 years ago, that would have been unheard of. If we're not going to do that, instead of splashing 30 or 40 or 50 million on a player that I know doesn't deserve to have 50 million splashed on them, I would invest in the youth, because at least in the youth, you know you're going to get 120% from them.
Yeah.
You're going to get players that actually want to give everything for the club and for themselves to try and develop into a player that they want to become. And you can kind of double the investment with it instead of trying to just buy someone and hope they're going to be what you think they are and what you think you're buying. They could, but there's a chance that they might not, and you've just wasted your money.
Yeah.
And now, because everyone's value's gone up, you have to splash the cash. And if you don't, you ain't going to compete with getting the big players, and you're not even going to compete in getting the decent players who can develop into great players. You're going to have to just settle for the mediocre. And as I said, rather than splashing out on the mediocre, I would invest in the youth. In terms of not making the Champions League, it's going to be a lot harder to be able to attract top players, attract top companies, big investments. It's going to be harder. Whereas if we were in the Champions League, it would be a different story. Now, as to how harder it would be, time will tell. Because at the end of the day, we are still Chelsea. We're not a nobody. You know, we are still a top team. But it will be harder. Now, in terms of trying to create the next bunch of players, the next group, yes, if we miss out on the Champions League and we're going to be out of Europe for a while, I feel the best alternative, if we're not going to be able to splash the cash as we should, if we compete with big teams, is to turn to the youth. That's our only option. If we don't do that and we keep splashing on mediocre players, then, you know, God knows where we're going to be in 5 or 6 years. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence, sorry, man.
Sorry, Gon. And that's the point I'm trying to make, because if we want to build this stadium and want to, you know, like I said, you know, just rise as a club and, you know, rise to the very, very top of Barcelona, Man United, you know, rise there, Bayern Munich, then use the youth now, see if, you know, out of those players that we do have, because we have one of, if not the best, you know, academies in the entire world, if we can make use of that and build an incredible squad from that, perfect. We already have everything that we need to be successful in a new stadium and rise to that club. If we don't, if it turns out maybe they're not just as good as, you know, some of us thought, then, you know, we can still, because we haven't already wasted millions and hundreds of millions and almost billions of pounds on mediocre players like Danny Drinkwater, like David Costa, then we can still afford to splash big on those players, because maybe it will need 1 or 2 seasons to splash over the top on wages, on everything, because we might not be just where we want to be, maybe around 5th or 6th or, you know, 7th, whatever happens with clubs around us and below us. But once we do that for 1 or 2 seasons, players, everyone will always be attracted by money. You know, Troy Deeney gave an interview with Copa 19. He said everyone's attracted by money. Doesn't matter whether you're already on 200k. If someone offers you 300k, you're going to take it.
Yeah,
of course.
So, you know, yes, we might have to do that for a summer or two, you know, in 5 years' time if the youth doesn't work out. But then we can still go where we want to go. But the main thing that we have to stop doing is spending money on mediocre players, because there's just no point. There's financially no point. You can't make a loss of 35 million of signing Drinkwater and selling Chalobah. That just financially makes absolutely no sense.
Let me make this point now to both of you. Now, of course, you guys are both coming to the same conclusions in regards to, you know, you can't be spending this type of money on options like this. But now my question is, whose faults do you think it was for why these type of targets were looked at?
I know you're going at Conte, and I don't even want to disagree with that. But the issue is that, at the end of the day, that's still the board's decision who, first of all, who's signed, and even more so, who is the manager. And yes, we've maybe been taking too long to find the right type of manager for us because, Conte, he signed a 3-year deal in the beginning. Most managers sign more. He's not that old. You kind of saw from that in the beginning, he wasn't going to be around for 10 years. Are we looking for that? Is that even a possibility these days?
Yeah.
I don't know. Guardiola, will he leave after 3 years, after 4 years? He's done so in the past. But Man City have still built everything around him. And if they find a manager similar to him after, it's still going to continue going the same way it is. But because, we're having huge issues. Guardiola has never had an issue anywhere he was. He had minor issues at Bayern Munich, okay. But nothing, nothing Mourinho like we had 2 years ago. So if you find the type of play, whether us as fans like that type of play or not, we can't really do anything about. The board has to find a type of manager, a type of style of football that we want to go. We can't be changing from Ranieri to Mourinho to 10 managers, then Carlo Ancelotti playing completely different, then going to Villas-Boas trying to force their old players out, then getting them back in with Di Matteo because that's the only way we're actually going to be successful. Then have Benitez for whatever reason. Then have Mourinho back. Everyone thinks he might be around for a while. Then that fucks up. And then you're going to go for Conte, who's most people thought was going to be rather short term. And then that kind of creates issues. If you're going to be chopping and changing managers, you're going to not be able to create a philosophy about your club because the manager you bring in might have a different philosophy. And then he's going to struggle with the players that he does have to, to his, whatever the word is, to use basically. So, you need to make a decision as a club, as a board. Where do we want to go? Do we want to build youth? Do we want to constantly sign top players? And what kind of top players do we want to sign? So, and you can't say, all right, this manager wins trophies, so we're going to sign him even though he doesn't fit this profile. So trophies is all well and good. You have to find the system. You have to find the profile. And if that then works out to build trophies, then you're in a good place. That's where Manchester City are right now. It's not just
this, but here's the thing: what you're saying about finding the system, then getting the players to complement it, is completely right. Now, again, with this window in particular during the summer, I mean, there's a reason why certain caliber of players were looked at was because Conte is the manager, and it's natural that of course you'll have to sign players that complement his system. It's just you're not going to just sign, let's say, some crazy number 10. Or not number 10, but let's say some some silky midfield player when that Conte doesn't like using those guys in midfield. You know what I mean? So this is what I mean. So in a way, you're going to be limited to the type of players that you could possibly get anyway. And I mean, it's natural for every team. For example, City won't look at certain players like, let's say,
Lukaku.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not too. Yeah, possibly, exactly, because he doesn't press as much. So yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just natural in that regards. But this is what I mean. I think for me, it's just been like a systematic thing with Chelsea. It's not the first time where we've had similar seasons like this in the transfer window. We can't forget there's been a lot of disastrous spells beforehand. Remember that? I think after Mourinho's third spell, we got Sidwell on a free and Pizarro on a free. A lot of people forgot about that, but that was Sidwell. I mean. I kind of feel Mourinho got asked for that guy to take the piss, basically. But and there's been a ton of other windows. Yeah, that one window, I think when we signed Jerkov, and I can't remember anyone else we signed during that window. It was like 2 players. So there's been numerous windows. Yeah, exactly. Ben Ayoun come in. That. I remember that was the year we signed De Bruyne, but then we felt more comfortable letting De Bruyne stay with Genk when he cost more than Ben Ayoun. And we felt more comfortable using Ben Ayoun that had been injured for most of the season. And so again,
there's no logic to some of it.
Yeah, but we've had a history of doing this, and this is why I feel that there's a lot of other fans, like me, and I think a lot of fans in general too, where it's like we go down these same paths all the time. It's not sustainable. It doesn't work in terms of how the club think they can obviously go for their successes. Yeah, we win trophies, but we get short-term success, and then we don't win anything for the next 2-3 years. And it's like, should football always be about? I mean, think. But if you're a fan, and let's say okay, every 3 years we're going to win 1 trophy, and I know we're not going to do shit for the next 2 years. I mean, if fans knew it would be panned out like that all the time, then no one would care for football as much if it was like that. So basically, the point is, you want to be competing every single year, especially if you're a club like Chelsea, and if the whole point is to be one of the best clubs. You know what I mean? And I just feel that. this is where it comes down to the philosophy, because I keep saying it all the time. You don't have to spend 80 million on 4 players every single summer. Football's not supposed to be about that. Yeah, a few times clubs will end up doing that, but when you see a club that's spending such massive amounts of money every year, that's like United, for example. That's because there's awful planning behind the scenes, because there's no emphasis on a team, on an identity, and getting players to match that. And yeah, I think United's, I mean, we can look at them in terms of how not to run things properly. I mean, look at Sir Alex Ferguson. This guy won the league with a nothing squad. Now, if other managers like Mourinho possessed that same team Sir Alex Ferguson had, when you've got Hernandez up front, and what's he done with his career? And when you've got guys like when Valencia was a winger, this guy's playing as a fullback for a reason now. You have 40-year-old Giggs and Scholes still doing, you know what I mean? So, you know, football, to me, it's always about the team, the 11 guys on the pitch, how you get them to play as a unit. That's always going to give you the advantage first over spending massive amounts of money. And again, United, Sir Alex Ferguson was winning stuff on the shoestring, not spending anything really near the end. And then, I mean, I think about like this, you know, we talk about, oh, let's say if Hazard left, what would we do? Get a replacement. Well, Ronaldo left. And yes, that's an example we can look at based on history. He left, they signed Valencia, he was like 1/6 of the price. They never got anyone near Ronaldo's level at all. They just changed up as a team. You know what I mean? Because he's irreplaceable. That's what Hazard is as well. So this is what I mean. We can't follow this United route where we think spending big amounts of money is somehow going to help us, because, you know, football is more than just spending money on big guys. This is why it's time for the club to have a philosophy. How are we going to play? No, we start with, how are we going to play? Okay, what manager are we going to bring in that's going to complement this play? What players do we have in the squad that are already good at what we want this club to be like? Because we already have a few of these guys already. I mean, I'm sorry, when you got our defense, you know, with Zuma, Christensen, Aspies, and then you've got your Kante as well, and Costa and Hazard. If you break it down like that, we already have 6-7 positions in the team, 6 positions in the team already, where really you could just say, well, we only need 4 good players really to help us go to another level. So it's not that many players when you really break it down in terms of how to reach the other big clubs, because no team has Kante. He walks into any team in the world. Most our defenders will walk into a lot of teams in the world as well. And when you've got Hazard as well, another guy that can walk into how many teams, and Courtois is probably top 5 keepers in the world as well, you've got a massive foundation to build something exciting. So, and again, like I'm saying, there's only 4 players we need to make up that first 11 team to be competing with Real Madrid's, Bayern Munich, Man City. So this is where the club needs to find that philosophy. How are we going to play? How are we going to play so we can make sure we get the right 4 players? Because if we get that right, then we're good then. This is what I mean. This is the scary thing. And I make this point about how in this country, especially in the Premier League, you know, this country spends money ridiculously and so wastefully too. And why is that? It's because it's a league where any foreign investor can come to buy any type of club. You've seen investors that buy clubs that want to change the name of the club. They own American clubs, American franchises. They don't know nothing about football. They don't even go to the games. They purely buy these clubs for investment. So when you're buying something as an investment, you want your returns quickly. You know what I mean? So when you don't give a fuck about this club anyway, and all you're thinking about is money, now one day your attitude is always going to be, oh, I don't know nothing about football. I guess we have to spend more to compete, which is completely wrong, because when you look at every other country, Atletico competed without spending much. Dortmund, you can go, I mean, Juventus, they became a powerhouse again, one of the top 5 clubs in the world. Other than before they signed Higuain, who did they buy? How much money did they spend to get back to that level? So that's just what I mean. It's about signing the right guys. Yeah, having that philosophy first. But
these days, though, the right guys are still expensive guys usually.
And we say that, but then it's like, we say that, but I mean, they can be, but then it's just like, how are we going to play? For example, you know, I mean, there's always good buys. I mean, we don't need 4 more 80 million pound players. You know, you don't need that. I mean, most clubs don't have. I mean, but like who? I mean, this is what
you need a striker, a proper one.
Who's on the market? Who's on the market that could come?
Well, no. I'm just saying, for values of money, of quality of players that we need. We need a top class striker. that fits our system. But a top class striker that's going to fit our system is either going to come from the youth or be very expensive, because top class strikers are just very expensive. And you need a top class midfielder that complements the system next to N'Golo Kante. And then, you know, Willian is 29. So you're going to have to look at the right wing eventually. And you need a left back. Left back you can get for cheaper. Fair enough. But everything else, but Alexandro, they ask 70 million. You know, there's, you know, the other ones are Marcelo, Alaba, Jordi Alba, maybe. You wouldn't get them for less than 50, 60 million. Would you?
True.
So,
but you'll never get them because they're the first choice players of the team. You know what I mean?
So either you're going to sign a young one for 30, 40
million. Done with Emerson, you know, so I think,
or like we do with Emerson, which, like, that's why I don't have any, that's why I didn't, you know, add him up when I mentioned, you know, Costa, Barkley, and Drinkwater, because Emerson can be very good. We're yet to see about that. So, but a striker, there's, you know, it's well and good putting Abraham there, and, you know, he might work out, but not if we want to compete with City next season. There's no point playing Abraham up top as the first choice striker.
Okay, let me ask this: what type of strikers out there do you think are the world class ones in terms of like the best ones?
Well, for me, there's real world class out and out strikers. There's Lewandowski, there's Suarez, and there's Aguero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing. I think all of us were going to say Suarez and Aguero. Let's be serious in terms of being our top strikers in the world. But when you look at their style of play, for example, you know, it's very unique, isn't it? That's what helps them. Exactly. Now, this is what I mean by finding the right system and the right philosophy first, because there'll be future Agueros, there'll be future Suarez's in the next 5 years that are going to come out from nowhere. You know what I mean? That's what always happens. Why aren't we looking at those players? And there's this one guy I know a lot of people now. I'm always talking about Lautaro Martinez. He looks like another guy in the mold of Aguero and Suarez. Now, it looks like this guy could be going to Inter for 20 million euros. Now, to me, that seems like, I mean, that's 15 million pounds that works out, or 80 million pounds, 17 million it works out being. That's nothing in today's football. Cool. So if there was a philosophy, because here's the thing, you can't look at a Martinez, Lautaro Martinez. Why? Because Conte likes his guys to play with their back to goal. When you look at Suarez, Aguero, for example, they're guys that don't play like that. Yeah. They're guys that you need to play attacking football to get the best out of them. You can't play on the counter attack. You can't play without the ball. You need to dominate. So this is what I'm trying to say. If you play in such a stupid way or negative way already, you limit yourself to the type of players you can bring in that can take us to the next level. That's what I mean. So this is why it's no surprise why when we can't get our first choice target, the second ones don't end up being anywhere near as good. You know what I mean? And last year it was different. I mean, didn't get 9 goals and we brought in Kante. I mean, that's amazing. Didn't get Koulibaly, we brought in David Luiz. I mean, for the other targets, we didn't get the first one because the way we play isn't that amazing to begin with. Because most players have got to be limited for that style. The second choice ones aren't anywhere near as good. So this is what I mean. Let's say we decide we want to be a 4-3-3 team. We're saying Kante needs support. What if we've got 2 more players around him and we want to play with a ball? Then you can start looking at different profiles of players. And this is what the club needs to do, because too often they let the managers decide every single time instead of the club deciding beforehand, we're going to be this team. Okay, this manager leaves in 2 years. Well, we're gonna get another guy that complements the style. I mean, look at Barcelona, for example. Every time a new manager comes, they fit that philosophy. You know what I mean? With us, every time we sign a new manager, he's got a different style. This manager's got a different style. It's all different. There's no continuity, and this is the main reason as to why we win something 1 year and then we don't win nothing for the next 2 years after. It's because there's no continuity once these guys leave. That's
the issue. Like, I think you can give a lot of the signing decisions to the manager if the manager fits what you want as a club in a whole. Like, City aren't going to sign a player that Guardiola doesn't want. Of course not. Exactly. But they're going to try, once Guardiola does leave, to get a manager in that will, like similar players and will actually be happy with the squad he's already taken over from Guardiola.
You're right. And, sorry, Lars, I'm being a prick, I know. Let me just say this quick point. Again, what you're saying about City's right, but look at the path to Guardiola. Start with Mark Hughes. Now, Mark Hughes isn't a good manager, but he plays attacking football, or he tries to. And then they moved on to Pellegrini. No, Mancini. It was Mancini because they thought, let's bring a winner, but then they they just, they bring in Pellegrini, a completely different style of manager to Mancini, because they're like, we want to be this attacking fluid team. Because this is when this is when they can bring in guys like your Silvers and Torres, your footballers. So then when Guardiola takes over, yeah, of course, really, the only thing he really had to change, was his defense, really. That's what he spent most of the money.
Really. A season before then as well.
And Silva, he had most of the guys that play in the first team. He had most of them. They were smart. They just signed young guys for the future.
Yeah, very true.
Because their defense, they're all retired now, most of them, aren't they? They're like 35, 34.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where the issue lies now, because if we want to compete next season, just as a standpoint, if we want to compete with them, City, next season, we can't be signing young players that turn out to be good.
But this is what I mean, though. Because
if we want to compete with them over years, which I completely agree with, is I think what we should do.
Yeah,
sign younger players, and sign younger players, or use younger players that we do have. Chalobah, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Although Tammy Abrams can be a very good striker, he wouldn't fit a Guardiola team, I don't think.
Yeah, he wouldn't. Mm-hmm.
Solanke's more close to that, but he's not doing well at all at Liverpool. He's got a fair bit of game time, not scored a single goal, which for a striker is very good. He can still be better next season, of course, but this season hasn't gone so well. One thing I do want to point out, it's kind of, if a manager does well in his first season, it's always a sign it's not going to go well for very long.
Yeah.
I realise that because, of course, there's an odd one out, and Guardiola wasn't exactly awful last year, and he was very good at the first season at Bayern Munich straight away. Although at Bayern Munich, it's kind of like going to PSG. You could just sit there and just win it, really. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Guardiola wasn't that good last year showed you that he changed things. While Conte changed things, in a tactical sense, he didn't change much how their players know how to play. Positionally, the way, you start things, but he's not going to teach them things that are completely different to what they've ever known. So if you are successful first season, which, the likes of Mourinho and Conte are, it's unlikely that you're going to be successful long term.
Yeah.
The likes of Alex Ferguson weren't successful straight away. Guardiola took last year to be successful. And, but the issue though is the types of managers that we're possibly looking at to build something similar to City, because at the moment, City are someone to look up to. Yeah. You can say, people 2 years ago said we're going to dominate the Premier League for years to come, and we didn't. People are saying it now about City. It's yet to be seen whether they actually will. They probably will, but it's yet to be seen whether they actually will. But how many managers of that type of quality and that type of football are actually out there? We tried kind of that way with Villas-Boas, didn't we? That was kind of an attempt by the board to do exactly that.
And that was like, that sums up the shit attempt, because it's like, okay, you're gonna bring this new, completely different style. Oh yeah, we're not gonna give you any money, and at the same time,
you have a completely different squad to what you actually
exactly. And we want you to get rid of some of the old players. So they really, this is what I mean by the stupidity, because he's the most expensive manager. We bought him for like 15.3 million.
It's ridiculous.
And just to get rid of him. And then obviously, because Villas-Boas, I'd be spiteful too. He purposely takes the year out from football so the club can keep paying him before he takes a job at Tottenham. You know what I mean? So it's annoying. But I think Younes is going to be coming back on it. His that vibrating was his phone. It ran out of power. That was what it wasn't anything, that we were thinking it could be. It's his phone.
Yeah, I think it's a very difficult discussion, and
an interesting one though.
It is a very interesting discussion, and we know we follow the club very closely, more closely than say possibly 95% of any other fan follows clubs. So we do maybe know more, and we're maybe older than some of the people that watch our YouTube videos. So maybe we have also a from a business standpoint maybe a bit of a better point of view. But you'd think that people that someone like Roman Abramovich does employ would understand probably even a lot better than you and I do, or than anyone else that just Twitter keyboard ranges. So the thing though is you said the one thing I quickly wanted to add is you said you have owners that don't understand football. Abramovich didn't understand football.
He didn't.
Most importantly, Marina Granovskaya doesn't understand football.
She doesn't. She's
very good in getting Nike and Yokohama and those kind of things. But she shouldn't be responsible for signing Ross Barkley and Danny Drinkwater. She can end up sitting there and say, I'm going to give you 40. Now I'm going to give you 39. That, you know, let her do that. Great. You know, if she's good at that, perfect. But there should be someone at this club in the hierarchy that actually has a say, and not just, you know, someone that sits there and is overpowered by, no, he's too expensive, or no, he's not what we want. There should be someone that makes this kind of, you know, club decision, what we're going to be and what we're going to do, and that actually has the footballing brain to, you know, get these things done. And once he says that's what we should do, that actually counts, and they actually try and do so.
Okay. I think that's a nice place to end the point. But before we go, we've got a few questions that people, you know, want us to answer. So there's going to be one guy joining the call, Bernardo. Bernardo, if you look at your email, I've sent you the link. So obviously, yeah, hurry up and join the stream. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, Lawrence, I'm putting you in the spot, man. But you're gonna have to take over for just a minute because I need to use the toilet quick because I'm bursting. So
go on. Have we got any questions that I can talk about before you leave?
Yeah, the guy's coming on now. So yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's gonna be coming on. So yeah, I'll be a minute, you guys.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, taking over a new channel. Yeah, I'm just going to read out comments until Bernardo comes on. Let's see when he does come on. So I'm just going to read out some comments, basically, that I'm going to try and find. Well, if you want to just put out any questions in the normal chat right now that I'm going to answer quickly or speak about quickly before Nini comes back, do so. The one thing that I do want to mention, of course, we've spoken about a lot of things right there and now. The one thing I do want to add to all of that is, you know, we as a club, you know, we've spoken about this as a system, as a philosophy, as a club. Where do we want to go and what do we want to do? It's not going to be the easiest thing to create all of that without, you know, making difficult decisions. There is difficult decisions that are to be made. There's difficult decisions that might mean no trophies for a few years, whether that is going to youth players, whether that is going to young prospects that could turn out to be incredible players. And even though Nini, like you said, and he's completely right, we have 6 or 7 very, very good players that, you know, from which you can build an incredible squad and an incredibly successful squad around. It's not going to be very, my apologies, very easy to do all of that, and it's going to take time. And I just urge fans that if the club do, you know, want to, you know, decide to go down that route, that we try to accept that. You know, of course, there's always a danger of Arsenal trying to go down the route, and it hasn't gone so well for them. But I trust our club that we do a better job of that. It's just, you know, that just needs to be more communication. Of course, you can't force the club to have communication with their fans, but it makes our jobs, what Nini and I do, and Younes does, and, you know, everyone at 100% Chelsea, and, you know, everyone at every fan channel in the world, and every journalist even. It makes the jobs easier if we know what the club is planning. Because if we say, right, we want to be successful, very successful, you know, winning everything in 5 years, good. If that's the plan and we know about this, good. If they say we accept maybe finishing out the top 4, maybe not competing for the Champions League and the league next few seasons, fine, then we know that. But if the club is run in a way that we seemingly try and win everything, but then the way we handle things, in the way we sign players and in the way we deal with our managers, then we're going to struggle to do so, and we're going to struggle to accept non-successful seasons. If we know that's probably to expect, we're all going to be fine with that. Like, again, I'm still a bit ill. You know, if you expect that, that's fine. You know, if you support someone like Leicester City or like, I don't know, Stoke or Southampton, you're not going to expect them to win the league. But as a Chelsea fan, that's the way it's been going for the last 15 years. You are obviously you're going to expect to compete. If you're then told, right, we're going to take a different approach, we're going to try and change this around and make this successful over the long term without chopping and changing everything every 2-3 years, then I think we can all accept that. And yeah, I just think if that does happen, if there is this more communication as fans, we have to accept that as well.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. This call is going to be coming on soon, so if you know, just hurry up. You know, just click the link. It literally will only take a second, so I don't see, you know. Okay, Alex is on. Yep, Alex, nice to have you on the stream.
Closing off the other things, because, you know, I was listening to the live stream.
Yeah, I like to think you are, but yeah.
How you doing?
Hey, So yeah, obviously you got the next few minutes to have your question asked. And what is your question that you want?
I mean, the thing is that
the question now is you're Lauren.
I mean, I've been having a lot of questions, and I've been listening to a lot of things because it's been 2 hours, so much information that
I say it like that.
there's so many things that you want to discuss, but when you have limited time, there's nothing you can do about it. So, first of all, I mean, I did hear your point about the new stadium. You're saying that on Lauren's end, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in terms of if we're not spending big money for big players, then why building a big stadium? I mean, I can understand that specific concept, but there's one thing that bugs me is the West Stand. That's 13,000 seats. And why is it that we cannot build the same thing all around where we have hospitality specifically for East Stand and West Stand? And that's already, because you already have the West Stand itself. You could easily make that as a role model for the rest. I mean that's a club to decide. They can do it whatever they want. But my question is, I think this is going to be my first question. If you remember, we lost 3-0 to Roma away. Do you think the Barcelona game was similar in terms of our playing style, or do you think that actually there is a difference?
Funnily enough, the two games you did bring up there now, shit. I was at both games.
Lawrence is
what? Can you hear me, Alex?
Yeah, I can.
You were stuck like this for like a few seconds. Then.
I think that was your internet. I think mine was fine. Anyway, anyway. So the two games you did bring up there were the two Champions League games I've been to this season, the two away games.
Yeah.
And from the experience in the ground, I felt very, very different. Even though we did also have chances in Rome, and should have been 1-0 up, should have equalised to 1-0, should have equalised to 2-0, and shouldn't have lost 3-0.
Yeah.
It was still a different type of game because in Rome, we always just said there, what on earth are we? Because it's also the type of opponent. Against Barcelona, if you concede goals, you're going to be, they have Messi, best player in the world ever, basically. But if you sat there against Rome and you're like, what on earth are we doing? And then you find out that, you're for the first time ever playing Cahill as the right-side centre-back. And you have no idea why that's happening. And then you find out the players asked for it and the managers agreed to it. And I'm like, why? And I don't understand what even is happening here. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I understand your point. I mean, you can develop on it, Lini, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same as Lawrence, to be honest.
I think you were watching at home. I'm not sure.
No, I wasn't at the away games. I was at home. I was at the home Champions League games, but not at the away ones. Yeah. So, of course, it's different for you guys. We're both there. You were at both the games, so you got like a different context.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at pretty much all the Champions League games at home, apart from Karabag, because I only started Chelsea games from the Arsenal game. And the first main outside of the UK away game was the Barcelona game.
Oh, you were there as well?
Yeah, I was there. Well, actually, I could see you. You were like a few rows above me.
Oh, was I? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, you may have not seen me because I saw you after the game and you were like very depressed with Lewis. So I can understand. Didn't want to disturb or anything.
Nah, you should have come up and said hello. But yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess, I just don't know what really went wrong over there. But I think basically, I'll say under my perspective very quickly, because I was planning on doing a preview and a review with Chelsea's W6. For some reason, there were some parts that basically missed out, but it's fine. Basically, for me, under my perspective, I just felt that Hazard was too focused on the dribbling and he wasn't focusing on shooting on goal. And this is a type of scenario that I haven't seen once. I have seen this since we've lost to Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. I've been seeing that consistently with Hazard, and I've also seen that stamina-wise, he tends to give up within 45 minutes.
Yeah,
he tends to slow down. that's getting me worried, and that's why I thought maybe he's actually reaching his peak. Maybe it's time for him to go. And I don't know, but if we get 150 million for Hazard and we get 100 million for Courtois, like from Real Madrid, then I think that's where we should start negotiating with them, because that is the right price for them.
Yeah.
I mean, if I shall start with that,
yeah.
So I completely agree with the point of shooting and focusing on dribbling, and sometimes what feels like dribbling for the point of dribbling, you know, rather, you know, you go past him, then you turn around and go past him again, rather than actually going past the next guy.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't even say that's an issue ever since the Carabao game. I think that's been an issue with Hazard for years. In some games he's done it less, in some games he's done it more, in some games he's more after scoring and shooting than in others. That's also, of course, down to the opposition. Do they, if he beats a player, does he actually see the space? But to me, he doesn't, with a few exceptions, doesn't seem like a player that takes a risk. You know, if you remember the season, he was really poor when we finished 10th and we played Liverpool away, and he scored an unbelievable late solo goal. Like, you know, that kind of goal, that shows that he can do it, and that's the kind of goal that I'm like, you can do it. It doesn't matter whether no one else does anything. It doesn't matter whether there's 10 people in your way. You have the quality to go through and score, and that's kind of what I'm sometimes hoping for.
Yeah,
and it's you can't expect a goal like that every game. You know, everyone knows that, but you can expect it more than once or twice a season.
Yeah, but Alex, what's your final question you have, because there's going to be another caller coming up.
Okay. I mean, to be honest, I mean, if Hazard and Courtois leave, I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about who should we replace Courtois with. You know, a lot of people say, oh, Black. I would personally go with Donnarumma, because he was very young when he went to Man United, and it took him years to develop, sure. But, you know, he is now the world-class goalkeeper. No one can dispute that. He is number one at the moment. I think Neuer is better than him, personally. Now, I just think that if we get someone like Donnarumma, I would say that gives a statement like, look, we have a young player. Yes, maybe he might be more challenging in prospects of, you know, he might let in some goals, and, you know, but at least we would have a long-term future on that end. But what do we do about Hazard? Do we basically sell him to Real Madrid? And if we do, which players do we sign to replace him?
Oh, I mean, I honestly, for me, this discussion of if Hazard even being considered of being sold, I don't know why this is even a talking point, to be honest. That's the last thing anyone should think about. And I don't know. I slightly think it's a bit too reactionary. We're making it sound as if he's been comparable to Willian over these years, which has been completely, you know, there's not even any, you know, anywhere near that level. But I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. I basically maybe I misspoke.
Address that point about the keeper situation. So obviously, of course, he's young, and I'm not going to lie. This actually brings up another point I wanted to make that I forgot. Obviously, you know, you look at De Gea, now, what's he done that's been any different from Courtois in terms of how he's handled his contract situation with United, how he's flirted with Real Madrid, how he was close to signing. I think obviously Lauren's talking about the fax machine, obviously messing up that deal. What's he done that's been any different from Courtois? And does it really come down to the fact that, well, you can be a prick, you can do whatever you want as long as you play well? Because sometimes I kind of feel that if you play well, then you get the exception. But let's say you make one mistake. Oh well, this guy's been trying to force out his move away. He's got no loyalty. Because it's not the same thing.
I understand what you mean, but I don't think it's that at all. I have to say, I remember Atletico fans when they said he left, and they said they were happy he's gone. Now they have Oblak, and he's a better goalkeeper. And that made me doubt whether Courtois is actually world class. I also checked, if we didn't have last year's defense of Cahill, David Luiz, and Azpilicueta, would Courtois be keeping clean sheets like he did? But would we be winning games like we did? I mean, remember the 15-16 season, he was making mistakes that were shocking, that were absolutely shocking. So
I mean,
to me,
well, I can quickly say to that.
Yeah.
I mean, no goalkeeper in the world will do as well. You know, will do as well as he does with a good defender in front of him, as well as he does with a poor defender in front of him. You know, whether that's Manuel Neuer, Gigi Buffon back in the day, you know, Peter Schmeichel, Oliver Kahn, or you know, Iker Casillas, they wouldn't have been as good as they have been with poor defense. Obviously,
Yeah.
That's why you see goalkeepers like Butland, like Fraser Forster, like you know, Kasper Schmeichel making more saves in the season than the others. Not because they're better goalkeepers, but because they're shot at more. I mean, I get your point about Donnarumma. The difference between Donnarumma and De Gea is that De Gea was a few years older and didn't play at Milan, a club that has been on a decline for years, but at Atletico Madrid at the club at the time on a huge rise from mediocrity to challenging top two. So, and that is a slight difference. And also, I don't remember how old De Gea was when they signed him, probably around 21, 20.
Well, when United signed him.
Yeah. Was he 21?
Yeah, I think he could have been something like that. But let's remember, he had growing pains. I'll sound harsh to think of it like this. When Courtois came, obviously he was young when he came. He was like 21 himself. I think he was the same age as De Gea. And actually, is De Gea older than Courtois?
I think
he was at Atletico.
Now.
Yeah, something like that. But De Gea needed growing pains to get used to the league. Courtois came and he just replaced Cech. There wasn't any period where he had to adjust or get used. You know what I mean? He just did his job. So this is what I mean. He's never had a history of really letting us down. I think the Barca game, of course, I think Messi would be an excuse because I think Courtois himself knows, regardless if it's Messi, if you're world class, you do better against them. I don't agree with this discussion of Courtois and replacements. You know, because Oblak is. It's not as if his kicking's amazing. He's literally the same as Courtois. So he must be buying the same player again.
I was basically bringing up the discussion, like, for example, if Real Madrid managed to buy him, Chelsea agreed to basically sell Courtois and Hazard, what do we do, basically? That's basically the conversation I was trying to lead to.
Yeah.
Also, with regards to De Gea, when De Gea was in goal, the defense for Man United wasn't that great either. I mean, let's be real.
That's why they finished sixth.
Yeah. I mean, they finished sixth like that. But I mean, when we were under Mourinho, we were like 16th. So
true.
And we went to 10th. But the thing is, that's different compared to Man United because they were still around that European section. Whereas for us, we didn't manage to be in that area.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, man. Obviously, Alex, thanks for coming on. If you want to shout out, obviously, Alex, he is on SW6, you know, that Chelsea YouTube channel. I think a lot of you guys will know that. Alex, if you want to shout out anything before you go.
No, I mean, I guess to any of the other people that appear on 100% Chelsea, you know, Nini, great analysis, first of all. Amazing analysis. As for Chelsea's W6, I mean, we try to post videos as we can. Right now, we're at 4,000 followers, so it's like small, not as big compared to you guys.
Yeah.
We're trying, you know, we're trying to get somewhere. And Lawrence, I have to say, when I watch your reviews, they're actually pretty excellent. I'm surprised at how well you do them. I might need some advice from you sometime.
Sure.
All right, you guys have a good day. All right.
You too, man. Nice.
Man. Take care.
Nice. Okay, I've sent the link to the next caller, Bernardo. If you check your email, I've sent a few emails. You still haven't been clicking on, bro. What's happening? So if you're still here, which you should be, because obviously you paid, click on the link quickly and obviously come on. You guys, this is why I keep saying, if you want to come on, just send it in advance so it can just flow. You know, every time I've got to wait 5 minutes for the next guy to come on, it's just like, don't make my life so hard. Just come on, make my life easier.
Just give me a second. Just need the loo for a second. Right?
Oh, no, it's yours. Okay, cool. That tactical break, yeah. Cool. Okay, but Bernardo, hopefully you're going to be keeping me company soon. I'm feeling kind of lonely, I'm not going to lie. I've sent you the link. I'm going to send you another link, so there's no excuse not to see this one. If you got Twitter, maybe it'd be easier for me to send you the link on Twitter. Younes, with Younes, basically what happened with Younes was his phone ran out of power. So yeah, that's why he's not here. I think he's waiting for it to charge a bit before he comes back. But yeah, you guys, you know, Bernardo, man, if you just wanna click that link, bro, you know. I've sent you another hangout link. And you guys, if anyone wants to come on, you know, this isn't a live subscriber calling. It doesn't cost a $5 to come on. I mean, there's literally no. I mean, if it was, I would have put it in the description. It doesn't cost nothing like that. I mean, Bernardo only paid £1. Alex only paid £2, so it's not as if it's anything crazy. If anyone wants to have the chance to come on, you still can. If not, then obviously Bernardo. Yeah, that's it basically. Yeah, you guys, but yeah, that'll probably be the last question then after Bernardo, because this stream, real talk, this is becoming like these old school videos. Some of the old school videos I used to do when I first started on YouTube, like every video was like 3-4 hours, and it's just like I'm getting back to that bad habit. I can't be doing it like that, so I need to. There's definitely going to be a structure from now on. I just want to always talk about everything. You know what I mean? It's not the smartest thing to do, but yeah, Bernardo, if you're here, man, I've sent you the link in your email. Obviously, just click on it and that's it. I'll wait a few more minutes for you. Obviously, if you're not here in the next few minutes, and might just have to CFC clear about 5 minutes. Yeah, but yeah, man, if you don't obviously click on it soon, I'll just answer the question that you sent. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm just waiting for him. I mean, if you're here, at least you know, send a message so I can see that you're here, you know, at least so I know. Come on.
It's 2:30 for me. Hurry up.
3:30, yeah, exactly. It's 3:30. Lawrence, man, sorry, I need to make sure they're much more structured. You don't. Yes.
I mean, it was also for myself because I wasn't available earlier, to be fair. So.
Yeah, so it was kind of your fault and Eunice's. So yeah, you are right.
Just blame me.
Yeah.
I'll take exactly. It's all right.
And I'll play this.
Do you just want to speak about Leicester quickly before?
Yeah, we'll speak about Leicester for a bit until he's come. If he's not here in the next, let's say, 3 minutes, then let's just keep it moving. Yeah. So what are you thinking about Leicester then?
Well, you know, like I said earlier, in any game, anything can happen with Chelsea at the moment. Could be bloody awful, could smack them, anything. What I'm interested to see is whether we're going to rotate a bit, whether we're going to go with almost the same team that started against Barcelona, or you know, kind of, you know, it's difficult because Leicester's a team that basically do everything that we don't like. So you know, the way they press, the high intensity they play midfield, which especially Fabregas and of course Bakayoko, if he does play, struggle with. Yeah, and you know, the way that, you know, Wes Morgan and whoever their other centre back is at the moment, quite physical, which, you know, Giroud can deal with, but
yeah,
Morata quite frankly can't. And you know, so like I said, it can be anything, but you know,
did Morata score earlier this season? Did he score against Leicester earlier?
Yeah, he did. He did away from home.
Yeah, away from home. Yeah, I mean,
good head of that.
Yeah, but I literally just realised.
There he is.
Oh, hi.
Oh, Bernardo, hey, you're here.
Yeah, sorry for taking so long.
You know what? If you were a second late, I wouldn't accept your apology, but you just came in on time, so. Yeah, Bernardo, obviously, yeah. What question do you want to ask?
Yeah, so basically, I was wondering why Chelsea fans have so much love for Antonio Conte. Like, why do we feel so affiliated to him? Just because he's won one Premier League title.
See, I think I'm the better person to answer that question because Nini doesn't. But
Bernardo, have you finished saying your question, or you want to elaborate more? Or?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's just like I just find it really weird because, you know, he hasn't really done much, you know, to make us love him. Like, wow, one Premier League title. You have countless managers who have done that already. You know, why is he so special?
Yeah.
But well, for myself, it's you know, you have these players that just give everything and just show like that they care, and you just feel more affection towards those than you do towards even players that do better if they look like they don't care. And that's, you know, that first game by Conte against West Ham, you know, it wasn't like the game itself wasn't great. I was at that game, but for him to just jump in the crowd when he was celebrated that goal, you know, that is just something you don't see managers do. And I'm not saying that excuses him for making mistakes. Of course it doesn't. But, you know, those kind of things, and, you know, thanking fans more than most other, you know, managers have done for, you know, him knowing that we appreciate him. And just the way he went about things last season, mainly, of course it's about last season, the way after every game, and it still does that today, after every game, even if we lose, comes over to the away support, comes, you know, goes, you know, at least kind of pumping fists in Stamford Bridge as well, but goes to the fans and just appreciates them for what they do. And then with the players, give all of them a hug, you know, sod on the other players, sod on interviewing, sod on, you know, shaking Mourinho's hand. Just celebrate with your players, because, you know, it's a team effort. We work together, we win together, we lose together, and that kind of thing. And I just think that people, because football at the end of the day is a working class sport, and people appreciate that kind of working class connection, relationship, that just fight and love for the club, because all of us fans love the club, and him behaving like that made us believe that he loved the club too. And what more can you want than your players and your team and your manager loving the team as much as you do? That's why we love players like John Terry so much, not just because he was such a great defender, because he cared. Same with Frank Lampard, DJ Drogba, those kind of players. That's why you love them. It's, of course, the achievements are incredible, but you know, smaller clubs don't have achievements. They still love their managers and players. So,
yeah, I understand. But yeah, Bernardo, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree too. I'm not gonna, you know, I don't understand this affiliation with Conte. I mean, he hasn't been around too long. It's not as if he's an ex-player where he's had a previous history with the club. I personally don't know what he's done really to garner this type of affection. Yeah, I know he acts passionate on the touchline, but I don't see why that is enough. It's not as if he's got a lot of personality in his press conferences. I think, you know, suffering is, how many times do you hear that?
Work and suffer.
Work and suffer. I don't see their passion and suffering work together. You know, I mean, you can say, let's say you look at a Klopp, the way
in the bedroom,
but the way Liverpool play, you could say they represent and personify passion more than how we play. I mean, do you really see much passion in our performances? How many times when we play against a shit team, let's say, I think what was a recent game? Was it against Palace? But we completely dominated for like 70 minutes. All of a sudden, we just sat deep for no reason. Now, it wasn't the players thinking, oh, crap, Benteke is off. Oh, but you know what I mean? It's because that's what's worked on. I don't see how I just don't see where this affiliations come from. And on top of that, you know, stuff he's doing behind the scenes. I mean, he hasn't committed. I don't understand why people are so happy with the guy that hasn't committed to the club. And the club have offered him 2 contract extensions, which he's turned down. Obviously, getting rid of certain players for his own preferences. I do think he's a bit self-centered as well. And I don't really think he's too... Of course, he's different from Mourinho, but in terms of that pragmatic philosophy they both have, I don't see where he's too different from that. So I personally don't understand why.
If I could just quickly add to that, because I kind of feel like I've painted myself in the wrong light here. I completely agree with basically everything you said.
I love when you say that, but yeah.
Okay, I disagree. No, so I do completely understand your point.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, the stuff on the field is a bit wrong, and you know, the stuff that happens, not signing contract extensions, and not understanding why you love someone. But you know, you and I, Nini, we always go back to this girlfriend thing. But you know, when you've been with a girlfriend for 3 weeks, you still love her. You know, you love her in a different kind of deeper aspect in 5 years, but you still love her, and you know, it's that passionate thing. And I think for a lot of fans, it's dying down, not just because of what's happening, but because you say there's, you know, the passion is only there when we're winning, which I already pointed out when we lost the Community Shield and people had a fucking go at me, and I'm like, calm down. Now everyone's saying it anyway. It's, you know, I think it's just we Chelsea as a club, we like our passionate managers. We like to feel that affiliation that we have with Mourinho, that we have with Ancelotti to an extent. We didn't, because we chop and change managers for so often, and then we have issues with managers so often, and then you have Benitez, who everyone hates. Then you have Villas-Boas, who everyone hates after 4 months. Then you have so many managers that you just dislike. Then once you like them, you really like them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything around it, yes, we have issues, and you just look past them and you critic. Like I myself, I like Conte, but that doesn't mean I can't criticize him. You know, if you've seen what I had to say after my City game, I was very, very critical of him, and I've been critical of him in a certain number of games. Maybe not, and certainly not as critical as you have been.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's just differences.
Yeah, of course. Opinions. Yeah, I understand. Going back to the girlfriend point, you know, Conte's the type of girl where, you know, you're going out with her, you've been with her for a while. She likes to let you know that she's loyal to you, but at the same time, she doesn't want to really tell you what this relationship is. You know what I mean? You don't know if you're together or if it's open. You know,
I'm sorry. But the thing is, you're
still taking other guys in the background.
The thing is, you're just explaining what I'm doing in my life at the moment. I'm just laughing.
I hope you're not listening to this, bro. That's what I'm saying. But
I doubt it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, she's still texting other guys in the background as well. You know what I mean? She's just letting you know I'm set out there just in case. You know what I mean? So, and at the same time, she's doing all these things, and it's bringing your confidence down. Certain guys that used to be better than, they're doing better than you. I mean, case in point, Wenger. When this guy's come, when's Arsenal become a bogey team for us now? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Never happened. Even in our worst ever season, we still aren't beaten against Arsenal. So that tells you everything.
Not just unbeaten, we beat them both times.
Exactly. Beat them both times. You know what I mean? So
all that matters.
Exactly. So Conte to me is like that toxic girl that you shouldn't be. You know, you have to learn to. You have to know when to break up with her, because she's only going to bring you down eventually if she doesn't get what she wants. She wants all the attention. She's not committing to you, and she's obviously seeing what else is out there. That's how I see Conte.
Yeah, fair point. Like, I think, you know, I am almost certain that he's going to leave in the summer. I think it's necessary that he does. Whether I don't want him gone in the sense of I don't like you anymore, just piss off. Yeah. It's more like for the better of the club, for what we need right now. He's not what we need right now, because as in a combination with him and the board, they're not going to work together towards a successful future. So, and the board isn't going to go. So Conte has to go. And that's my way of thinking. I'm not saying Conte's awful. And even, I know you disagree with that, but I think if Conte had it, while that's limited, if somehow we managed to bring the players in that he wanted, all of his first choice, we would be doing well. Maybe not as well as City, but we would certainly be doing well.
Lukaku, because he was the first choice guy, we'd have an aerial threat that you don't have with Morata. Sandro is another guy to lead. So I think they're the three main targets that the first choice ones.
Of course, if you had Bonucci, we wouldn't have conceded a lot of goals that we have conceded.
But then, I mean, I don't know. I thought, personally, I've always thought maybe he's a bit overrated. What he's doing at Milan, I mean.
But it's like sticking John Terry and Aston Villa and expecting them to win the Champions League now.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I've always thought, I don't know. But again, let's not even talk about Bonucci. Bernardo, you've obviously heard our thoughts and opinions. What have you taken from it, or what thoughts and opinions do you have of your own?
Yeah, well, I thought it's quite interesting. I think I do agree with most of what you said. I just think, like, to what extent do you reckon Conte has been backed? Like, would we really be in second place if we had, I don't know, say Bonucci or Alexandro or like Sanchez? Because, in my opinion, we have the second best squad in like the entire league, right? So we technically should be second right now, or at least third.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I think I tend to agree. I might sound a bit crazy, but when you break down all the 24 players, player by player, compared to other teams, we have a lot more experienced ones, and we have, we got some top quality players. Really, I think the main one we lost last year was just Costa. We brought in Morata. Of course, he's not as good as him, but he's still got, I think, potential to hopefully get better. You know. Exactly, but really, that's the only point where you can say maybe we're weaker. Really, that's just up front. So I think just because we've lost Costa doesn't mean that we're a much weaker squad now because he's gone. I don't necessarily think so, based on the amount of players that we have. But this is what I mean. I agree. I think if we had signed some of these top targets, would our situation be any better? Because I think with the way we play in general, let's say if Sandro comes, a lot of times. I think you look at United fans, for example, Sanchez comes, and I think a lot of people fell for this trap where they thought, oh, because Sanchez is better than Mkhitaryan, we'd be playing better football and playing a better style. But again, when it comes to football, you don't play better football depending on the quality of your players. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I think would have been the same thing with let's say if Conte got Lukaku, Sandro, etc. Maybe we'd have won a few more games we lost, but I still think we'd be competing, third, second, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I just think if we had Lukaku and Alexandro, either kept Matic or signed possibly Tolisso, let alone someone like Vidal.
Yeah.
If that happened, I think we would comfortably be in second, or at least be pretty much on points, very, very similar to where Manchester United are right now.
We wouldn't be fifth. We'd probably have at least 6, 8 more points, something like that.
Yeah, it's just, and the only thing I do want to bring up is because you said about what difference of players and stuff we have to last season. You still have to remember that someone like Moses isn't that great. He was, put into that position, played really well there last season, but had a week off every week. Now that he doesn't have a week off every week, you see him more and more showing a weakness. The weaknesses that he does have. So, of course, we're not weaker in the same, because it's the same player in that position. We're weaker in the sense that he's, first of all, not playing that well. And, you can't really blame the system for that because it was the same system last season. And,
let me just touch on that point. You could slightly, because, of course, the way teams are playing against us is completely different.
Of course.
Yeah, that makes a massive difference. I make this point all the time, but people, not you, but everyone needs to really think about this. When teams like Watford and Bournemouth have been awful this year, when they feel their best chance at getting a win against us is by pressing high and putting men forward. That says everything.
Of course. I'm still just making the point of that that Moses still, he isn't that great. He isn't a wing back in the first place. But even though his defending is actually better than his attacking at the moment. Yeah. But still, it does play an effect whether you play 38 games a year. Well, what was it? 44 or something, 45 last season, all in all, or whether you play up to 60 or up to 55. It does make a difference. Moses was injured. We had injured players. Eden Hazard, the fitness point that Alexander brought up. Hazard missed half of pre-season. That's why he's not that fit in the second half of the games, obviously. So these kind of things do play a part in that. I mean, I'm not sure we have the second best squad in the league. I'm pretty sure United have the second best squad in the league.
Certainly better than Liverpool.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, here's the thing. I look at United. I don't think any of their defenders get in our team. Liverpool, other than their front,
Valencia will get in our team.
Their team is pretty.
Yeah, but is Willian really worse than Mane?
He hasn't been that great this year.
Like on paper.
But say that again, man. Sorry about that.
Is Willian really worse than Mane on paper?
Yeah, I don't think exactly. That's what I mean. You're right. This is what I agree.
Yeah, of course, we have a better squad than Liverpool. I don't think anyone would dispute that.
Yeah, with better squad than Spurs, Liverpool, I'd say United.
I think the Spurs one you can actually argue for a bit. I'm not saying Son is better than Hazard, but Eriksen is better than any midfielder we have.
But again,
Kane is better than any striker we have.
But they play a different system. That's the thing.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
But that doesn't have anything to do with Messi doesn't play a different system. Does play a different system. Still, we know he's better than Hazard.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but
I guess.
But if you were to compare Eriksen with Fabregas, you can't really make that comparison, can you? Because Eriksen he plays much further up the pitch, and Fabregas obviously has to do much more work.
Yeah, but Conte try playing Fabregas there in certain games. Don't have the legs for that. Eriksen isn't exactly the next Usain Bolt, but he's certainly not the next Sean Terry like Fabregas.
They're still a different style of player. I get what you're saying, Bernardo. But yeah, that's what I mean when you break it down. I think United, other than some attacking players and Pogba, I mean, is their midfield and defense really great? No, I don't really think it's amazing, to be honest.
I mean, if De Gea is better, Valencia is better.
I don't know. Valencia, I mean...
But it's not better than Moses.
I personally, I see a lot of mistakes in this guy a lot of times,
All right, but...
yeah, go on.
You see a lot of mistakes maybe, but, at least he makes a decision and Moses just runs it into...
I get... Sorry, this is a completely different tangent, but, in terms of delivery from fullbacks, I mean, who are some of the best in the league at doing that? Who are consistently putting in amazing crosses every single time? I'm trying to think.
I mean, it's
Valencia-
difficult to judge that because no one else plays wing back, so it's not.
No,
Front
wing back, but right. I mean, it's not too dissimilar in terms of obviously someone being out wide, but crossing.
Of course, no, but a wing back has to go forward more and has more of that responsibility.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, with how we have them, we make a back five. How often, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're playing. So yeah, I get what you're saying though, but I mean that's what I mean. Who's really?
Even Walker isn't that great at that, to be fair.
He's never been.
Kieran Trippier's all right.
Yeah, he's
Trippier's
exactly. And it's funny because Spurs fans were saying when Walker wasn't in the team for the last month, that, oh crap, Trippier is actually really good, and some are even thinking he's been better than Walker. You know
Not
what I
this
mean?
season anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Mendy, I think this guy probably would have been.
Yeah, that would be the best cross in the league, I'd say. Rose has a good cross on him.
Yeah, he's got a good cross in him on the left. But there's not really many though, really, is there?
No, there's not. There's not.
Yeah, this is what I mean.
But then again, they have a good striker, right? Like
Exactly.
Zappa Costa, he had Belotti. Do you
Yeah.
see any of those crosses now at Chelsea? From him?
You're right. You are right.
But we don't see that many of the crosses either. Against who did he play against? Palace, yeah. He started against Palace, didn't he?
Yeah. But I guess it's harder if you think about it, actually, because that's a good point Bernardo is making. Because let's say our only focal point is, let's see, Giroud and Morata. That's the only guy in the books that will win anything in the year. That's not really that amazing, especially when even though they're okay and they're decent at it, it's not as if there's Drogba up front. You know what I mean? It's not as if it's Lukaku. So you're always going to be limited in terms of how effective your crossing is going to be. You know, so that is a good point, to be honest. But Bernardo, is there any other points that you want to make, man?
I had a question, but it was like in terms of who's better than who. I forgot about it now.
Oh.
To be honest, what can I ask? Maybe in terms of like midfielders, like who would you rather have right now at Chelsea, Kante or I don't know, like a Pogba?
Oh, why's Barca, bro? Why do we have to have it out of either of them? Because it's like you know you have to have them both together.
Well, no, I'd have Kante because Pogba is more focused on hairstyles than football.
Oh God, it's not. That's the argument that's always made. But I see it like this.
I'm not being serious.
I know you're messing. I wasn't even sticking on you, but that's the general one that people say a lot of times. I'm just thinking, it's not as if this guy's just dyeing his hair and getting a skin fade. It's not as if it's taking him 2 hours to get a haircut. If you're someone like Ramsey, where you're dyeing your hair blonde and then you're getting your hair washed and then it's getting snips. I mean, how long does that take to get your hair cut? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's not doing it every 2 days.
I guess.
Yeah, but Messi didn't get criticised, did he?
Yeah.
He did it.
Oh,
his
looks he did.
Yeah, so Pogba has no tattoos. Messi inks his. I mean, how many hours does it take to get? And it's like if this guy's coming to your house, I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's just Twitter, stupid Twitter talk.
Yeah, no, of course it is.
Yeah.
It's just Pogba seems like it's not even just on Pogba. The whole Pogba thing is a bit, if you have Pirlo and Vidal around you, it's a bit of a different story than having McTominay and Matic around you, or Herrera and bloody Fellaini. It's 2 very different stories, those 2.
Yeah, honestly, I wish.
And the manager, of course.
I mean, if there's one player I wish we could have our far midfield, it would be Pogba. With Kante and Pogba, I mean, it's literally game over.
Might as well say that one teams in.
Yeah, it's just game over in midfield for everyone. I mean, I was actually watching a lot of.
But Conte would be loving Pogba, kind of player he was.
He would. But like I was saying, I was looking at Pogba's compilations at Juventus, and I was like, you realise this guy was like 2021 and doing this like madness. You know what I mean? It's like
it's absolutely mental.
Yeah, I mean, his shooting is just unbelievable. You know what I mean? It's like Taz on FIFA, just like hitting from any angle.
Yeah, these type of players that somehow are never good when you watch them, but always incredible on YouTube. It's like Ibrahimovic. I've never seen Ibrahimovic be incredible. Maybe that's because he was a PSG and I barely watched PSG, of course.
Yeah.
But whenever I did watch him, he was never very good. I did see it live when he scored that overhead kick against England, but
against England, yeah.
Otherwise, Ibrahimovic is always like he scores tap-ins. When you go on YouTube, he always scores these 40-yard screamers.
Yeah, but that's how things are hyped, though. I mean, because here's the thing: people make out like, for example, I know not everyone watches Messi every single week. I definitely don't. I watch enough of him, but if you're a Barca fan, you're not watching Messi play 10 out of 10 every game. Most times he's 6 out of 10. Most times he's 7. A few times a year he's 10. You know what I mean? That's how it is. So
now, like there was a time when I watched Messi a lot when I watched La Liga a lot.
Yeah.
I think when you say 6 out of 10, that's 6 out of 10 for Messi.
Yeah, that's what I mean. 100%.
That's still a 9 for everyone else kind of thing.
Yeah,
because Messi, even when he doesn't score, just by Messi being there, everyone has about 10 meters more space because everyone shits themselves because when Messi has the ball, kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean,
Messi's Messi. Messi's, you can't compare him to anyone.
Also, Messi, it's still kind of unbelievable that this guy got 91 goals in a calendar year.
So
and he would have got 100 if he didn't hit the post. I think double digits were hitting the post too and missing penalties. So he could have got 100 if.
And we speak about, Hazard got 17 goals.
Damn. But Bernardo, man, any last question or?
There's an interesting question.
Okay.
What's your overall opinion, or like general opinion of Chelsea-related journalists, like, I don't know, Dan Levine or something? Because they are quite controversial.
Okay. I'll just start. First of all, I have heard the criticism of Dan Levine, but I only literally opened my Twitter account a year ago. I haven't been on Twitter that long. So I've missed out on a lot of stuff that was happening beforehand. I know I get this idea that
been a lot.
Yeah, I get this idea that it was during the Mourinho season especially where a lot of madness was just started to happen in terms of all these factions started to come from. That's how I'm seeing things, but I don't know him enough to really understand anything, to be honest.
I mean, there was this one. Well, I basically wrote one in his tweet, like, he posted something like, "Oh, if you're like a foreigner, you can't be a supporter unless you've been to like a Chelsea game or something." Yeah. And I was like, well, "What a ridiculous statement this is!" And then he was just trying to justify it for some reason. I was like, and then he blocked me. And I was like, well, "What's the point of that?" Like, how can you not be a supporter? Like, Lawrence, you live in Austria, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you happen and not to been like to the bridge, why would that not make you a supporter?
Mate, I've almost had fights about exactly that topic with people. So, yeah, I know what you're on about. It's like Dan Levine, you know, he's at the end of the day, just because he's got Twitter followers because he's a journalist and got a job because he's got a writing. Doesn't, you know, there's probably loads of, I say probably, there is loads of people that think the exact same way. He just happens to have Twitter followers and be good at writing. So that's why he's in that position. And that's why people care about it. He's just, at the end of the day, he's a person with opinions, whether we disagree with that or agree with that. You know, I say things on Twitter sometimes that people disagree with. And, you know, if I had 10 followers, no one would ever see. So it's like, what can you say? He likes Chelsea, so don't hate him.
I mean, again, I can't. I'm always someone where if I don't have any personal interaction or you know, if I can't make up my own opinion, then I'm just not going to make one. I don't know anything about Dan, to be honest. I haven't even seen any of his tweets. I don't know if I'm even following him, to be honest. So I don't really have a say in this. Sorry, man.
Okay.
What do you think of it, Bernardo? Because you ask us questions. What's your point on it? Because we don't really have that big of a view on it. Of course, you said the thing with foreign supporters and stuff, but
I mean, to be honest, I dislike most Chelsea-related journalists.
Who's the one you hate?
Yeah.
Who are the three most annoying ones you find?
Oh, I don't like. Do you know Nazar Kinsella? Kinsella.
Okay.
Gary Hayes, Dan Levine, obviously. I mean, there's so many of them.
What's your issue with Nazar?
Yeah, me and him follow each other. I don't. I mean, I can see why.
There's just so many stuff. Like, I bet you, if I search for his Twitter now, I could find something. Like, I don't know.
I feel like
it just really annoys me because they have so many followers, and then they like spread these like ridiculous agendas. Like, oh, Gary Cahill, when he's started, he's made like 90% of tackles. But like, it's so irrelevant, that stat. Why even bring it up?
Well, it's the internet. It's like when people on YouTube clickbait.
You know, if you think about it, it is kind of his job. He is the Chelsea correspondent, so I think he's probably had to think, oh shit, I need to post stuff during the game. Yeah, it might be boring, but at the same time, he's only the correspondent. You know, it's for goal.com. So I guess he's in a way forced to have to do that stuff. He might not even care as much, really. You know what I mean? Because he's a correspondent. We don't know if he's even a Chelsea fan. You know what I mean? He could be a fan of another club for all we know. So you know.
Or what about this one article which was like, Rudiger shouldn't start against Barcelona because he got destroyed by them like 7-0 or something, like a few years back, and therefore Gary Cahill should start.
I mean, you can make a point why Gary Cahill should have started that game, but that argument for it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
He lost 7-0 with Roma or Leverkusen or whatever it was. No, he wasn't at Leverkusen. What one about?
Well, Bernardo, you could be being mean right now. You could be paraphrasing and taking it out of context. So actually, you know what? I think I read that too. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
that is quite funny to be honest.
That is quite funny. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think sometimes if my channel had views like that, I wonder if I'd be able to survive.
You'd be dead, mate.
I think I'd be.
Contact shit. I had enough of contact. You're dead, nearly.
Yeah, I'd be on Bernardo's list right now of most annoying people. So, yeah, it wouldn't be too great. But yeah. I was actually going to say something controversial, but then I can't be saying it.
No, you're scared of
Come on, say it.
I'm going to ask thoughts on CFC Fan TV and that. I was just curious.
Oh, nah.
Ooh.
Don't even get me started on them.
Jeez.
I knew you were going to have something to say about them, but yeah.
No, I did like that channel like 3 years ago.
Chelsea
but then
fan.
like yeah, but then like they just started saying so much nonsense, which didn't really make any sense. Like I think Sophie once said like, "Oh, we would have conceded like more goals if we had started a striker." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So many things I would like to say right now.
Same. But I mean,
I'm going to say one thing.
Actually, yeah, you can. It's not on your channel, so you.
No, not even that bad. I'm gonna say one thing. She wants Oscar. She once said she wanted Oscar to start. She's so cute. What? What?
The logic they use sometimes.
He's a decent looking guy. What's wrong with what she's saying?
Yeah. Okay. Then I don't know.
I mean, yeah. CFC. I don't know. I mean, personally, I've always thought they're just kind of more maybe money orientated. Because in terms of, let's say, the effort they put in their videos, the length of their videos, you know what? You don't really see any effort, really, if you think about it. You know, especially when they have all these studio accesses and they can get any guest feature they want and all these opportunities. You'd think it would be much better, you know.
Do you guys have any contacts with them, or
pardon?
Or not? Do you have any contacts with them, like?
Me?
Yeah, well, any of you, yeah.
I mean, I don't see why I need to have any, to be honest. But yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I've not had much contact to them personally, but you know, people around me.
Yeah, it's no point really. You know, they can
like, you know, for me, it's just let them do a thing, and you know, we all do our thing, whether we think we're right, whether we do it the right way or not. You know, it doesn't really matter. You know, they've not harmed me, they've not harmed anyone. You know,
yeah.
People say their opinions, whether you agree with them or not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's YouTube at the end of the day. So
yeah,
anyone can say anything.
I mean, we are all Chelsea fans at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah, of course. But I mean, you know, maybe if me and 100% Chelsea adopted some of those same tactics, maybe it'd be better for us too. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
then it wouldn't be like that honest, would it? Well, I don't know.
You're
like
saying not me.
No, well, maybe on you, yeah.
Yeah, you're saying it, not me. So yeah. Exactly. I don't like the channel, I'm just being honest. But yeah, Bernardo, man, obviously, thank you for coming on. Obviously, you're saying a lot of full-on questions. I was waiting for these type of questions, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, man, obviously, thanks for coming on and having your say.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Yeah,
and Lawrence, I think you can stop working tonight now. Obviously, thanks. Put you on a 0-hour contract. Yeah, there's no more questions. So the stream's basically over. That's it. It's 2 a.m. now. So it's like, what, 4 a.m. where you are?
3, yeah.
Wow. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to keep you up so late.
It's all right. To be fair, we started at like just before midnight. So
yeah, we did. But I need to stop doing these 3-hour epics. It's like imagine watching Titanic.
Yeah, it's like
I rate you. I honestly do.
Go on. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
So everyone that's still watching the stream, because there's more than 200 people still watching it, and it's been like going on for 3 hours. You know.
Love you all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's just whenever, like, we've not done that many together, but whenever we do, we just get into long hours.
Just get involved, yeah.
We just get.
We need to do more videos together, to be honest, because it's always a good time.
Because then we can actually keep them short.
We
It's a
record
point.
together.
Yeah. Now, either you're frozen or I'm frozen. So I'm just...
Yeah, back here. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, yeah, if we're going to wrap it up, just going to plug myself a little bit because, like you, like you said, there's 200 people watching. If
Yeah.
you don't follow me on Twitter yet, please do so. It's last 1507. So, you know, follow me over there. Appreciate that. If you want, you know, Instagram as well. Some pictures from Barcelona. Sure, you would enjoy that. So, yeah, no, really. But again, Nini, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure. No matter what time it is, yeah, let's hope for a win on Sunday. Let's hope for top four. Let's hope for, you know, a good old day in Wembley in May, and this time with the trophy.
Yeah, that's it. Let's just pray for an FA Cup because I want to go to Wembley this season because it's literally right around the corner for me. And let's hope we get into the Champions League for next year. Obviously, thank you to everyone that stayed with us this whole time watching the stream. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Of course, you know where to follow Lawrence. In the description below, I will be putting in his social media to make it easier for you guys to find him. Thank you, everyone, for watching this video. Tomorrow, I'm going to be releasing my predicted preview video for the game against Leicester. So that's going to be coming up in the afternoon. And yeah, you guys, thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Line CV with 100% Chelsea. I don't know why I fucked that up then.
It's late.
It's late. And my mouth is tired now. I've been speaking for so long, you know. But anyway, you guys, we'll see you later.